UPMC presents Pirates Spring Training Baseball. We're here from Lecom Park in Bradenton, where it has been a Florida kind of feel here today. A little cloud cover early, but that has parted ways, and we've got some sunshine for you. We got baseball as well, as the Pirates will play host to their neighbors to the south, the Baltimore Orioles. And welcome into the booth here today. Joe Block and Steve Blass with you here as we get started for some spring training baseball here from Bradenton. And for the Pirates here today, we're looking at a lot of the regulars in the lineup. Of course, the new look outfield with Andrew McCutchen in San Francisco. Corey Dickerson now part of the things, and he's in the lineup today.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to follow all of that because that's going to be a critical part of the Pirate offense. We've got to score more runs. And we have a pretty good idea, Joe, of what we can expect from Starling Marte and Gregory Polanco. We also know what they're capable of doing. The sky is a limit for those guys with their physical talent, so we hope that they continue to move forward. I think the X factor is in left field, obviously, with Corey Dickerson. An all-star last year, had a great first half. The second half wasn't as good, so it'll be interesting to find out what he is going to lend. But that's where you expect your power from. That's where you expect your production from, those three outfielders. So one of the many keys.
And for the Pirates today, they're going to see Alex McRae get the start. A few cuts have been taking place, but McRae gets the start today, and many of the familiar names that we'll probably see among the 25 starting things this season are in the lineup for the Pirates, who will take on the Orioles here today.
AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by Day Automotive. We're going to make your day. And by UPMC, making life-changing medicine happen. Let's go Bucks!
Now there's an old friend, Pedro Alvarez, chatting as a member of the Orioles as a non-roster invitee here in camp.
Yeah, he's going to have to use a glove today, too. He was DHing over in Sarasota the other day.
He won't be facing Tyler Glasnow as we look at our Allegheny Health Network injury report. He was supposed to start today, but some flu-like symptoms. That's been going around the clubhouse right now. Chad Kuhl the other day tried to pitch through it. And so Glasnow today scratched from the start here this afternoon, and we did have a little shower here in the late morning, but should be good the rest of the day today.
Yeah, we know the tarp works. By the way, the Orioles, Joe, you and I see them like every other day. I think I know more about the Orioles than I do about the Pittsburgh Pirates, and you know about our starter today.
Yeah, Alex McRae, who will fill in for Glasnow today, and was just in camp, one of the Pirate farmhands with Altoona last year, good numbers, but out of New Berlin, Wisconsin, out of the Milwaukee area, pitched at Jacksonville University in the northeastern part of Florida.
Yeah, some good work with Altoona last year and the previous year. Some good work working here in Bradenton and then moving up to Altoona. So we certainly hope that he has as good a career as Gordon.
Yeah. There's Buck Showalter, 9th year as the Orioles skipper.
Young fans, Gordon McRae, great entertainer.
Austin Hayes, talented rookie, bidding for a spot in right field for the O's. He's the designated hitter today.
Mr. McRae, big enough, 6'2", 220. 19.
Slammed out to Dickerson. That is how we start here today. And he starts the Orioles 9 for Buck Showalter. Rasmus DeFallo trying to make the roster as a non-roster guy. Jonathan Scope, the all-star second baseman. Pedro will clean up with Danny Valencia at third. Another former Bucco, Alex Presley, in left with Joey Rickard, Andrew Susak, and Luis Sardinas. The bottom of the third of the order.
Yep, no Manny Machado, no Tim Beckham today.
Colby Rasmus hit 20 or more home runs a couple of seasons in the big leagues, but tried to hook on as an extra outfielder. Well, McRae, a 10th round pick of the Pirates 4 years ago. Very good athlete. Played third base, a little first base as well for Terry Alexander at JU, Jacksonville University. But the talent was to pitch mostly, and so that's what he's done in the Pirate system.
Yeah, you look at a progression up through a minor league system. 2 years ago, Bradenton and Altoona, so split the season. Then all year last year with Altoona, so you wonder if the foundation has been set. Should he pitch it very well early on to move up into AAA? So it's been a fairly good journey so far up the ladder. Yeah, we always talk about the conditions here at Lecom Ballpark. The wind is always a factor. Today it's going to be a factor helping left-hand batters or right-handers who can hit the ball to the opposite field straight out from home plate to right field. And you know, Joe, you and I have talked about left-hand hitters in PNC Park. It's always an inviting fence out there, so maybe we can see a little bit of that action today.
Out toward left center and deep. Dickerson. Well, we're going to see that in that expansive left field at PNC Park. He's able to haul that one in. Rasmus is retired. And for the Pirates today, with Dickerson out there in left field, we told you when we began things today, the Honda defense with Marte and Sean Rodriguez manning right field. Colin Moran, the rookie, at third, with Mercer and Harrison in the middle. David Freese gets a start at first. Cervelli and McRae in the battery for the Buccos today. And we're very excited, too, to be able to share with you our UPMC spring break here today in lieu of some of the commercial breaks. We're going to check in with Rob King and Michael McHenry. They're going to give us a little analysis, what's going on.
Yeah, meanwhile, back at the fort.
Yes, right. We welcome Michael McHenry to our broadcast team this year.
Absolutely, absolutely. By the way, you know, Dickerson making these first two plays, we don't know too much about the glove. You know, we know he has great power, the home runs last year, but he actually made a nice play on that ball that carried a lot to left center field. So you watch all aspects of a new guy that you have on your ball club. We'll watch Colin Moran at third base. And, you know, we talk about keys, we talked about the outfielders, but new additions. See how they fit in, how they produce, what they bring.
Yeah, because Polanco is going to play at third exclusively. Or, excuse me, you were talking about Moran. And right field exclusively. So it's going to be Dickerson and then whoever subs in for him, obviously, to play that big left field at PNC Park. All-star season for Scope a year ago. He's a tough out, and he proved so again with a 2-out single. And a nice round of applause from both sides of the aisle for Pedro Alvarez.
We're in number 2. We used to see him with that number, familiar number 24, Bucko.
Last year primarily in the minors. Just got a little bit of action in September and re-signed with the Orioles on a minor league deal.
A couple of right fielders for the Pirates now as Josh Harrison is halfway out to Rodriguez. They shift over and play Josh well onto the outfield grass.
Yeah, that's the I guess, you know, for these left-handed pull hitters, we're seeing that pretty standard these days.
92-mile-an-hour fastball from Alex McRae. As you take a look at the defensive configuration, there's Josh. Hard to get a ball in between Harrison and Rodriguez right now.
And Moran, the third baseman, we saw it near the second base bag.
I'll say it too before I make the mistake, because I'm going to be calling Moran Moreland, because I had a teammate, John Moreland, who was a pitcher for the Pirates briefly. So bear with me, Colin. My apologies up front, Colin Moran. Certainly looking forward to seeing what he brings.
There he is.
Pittsburgh Pirates, yeah.
Rookie.
First of all, it brings a nice beard.
Yeah. Rookie third baseman. Stays 1-2 on Alvarez. Pedro now 31 years old.
Did some good things for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Took a lot of abuse, some of it, you know, a little bit over the top at times. But, we saw how much potential he had, how much power he had. We wanted more.
He hits it to left, but Moran with plenty of time to get underneath it. So hitting the man left for the Orioles, who start things. And let's head back to our North Shore studios for this UPMC spring break with Rob King and Michael McHenry.
Thank you, Joe, and leave it to Steve Blass to come up with a good line of "Meanwhile Back at the Fort." And Michael McHenry, of course, our new analyst here on AT&T Sportsnet, going to be providing analysis throughout the course of this game. Also, you can tweet your questions to him to hashtag #AskTheFort. I've got a question for you right away. Dickerson, we're going to see him out in left field. I think fans that are a little familiar with him know he should bring some power. You said he transformed himself as a fielder a year ago.
Yeah, Dickie went to the drawing board last offseason. He lost a bunch of weight. He's starting to eat healthier. And he absolutely got a lot better in the outfield. He was below average at first. Now he's a little bit above average, especially with that big left field PNC. It's really going to help him out and help the Buccos out. So I think you're going to be surprised with how good he is defensively. When he was in Colorado with me, he had a little bit of that liability factor. He got substituted a lot, and he hated it. So he took pride in his defense this offseason. And last offseason, he came back a better player. And I'm really excited to see that growth in him, and he's going to continue to do that with these young guys.
And we know he can hit for some power as well.
Absolutely. The guy can absolutely hit the ball out of the yard. Any part of the yard he can hit it out of. I'm really excited to see him at PNC with that short porch. I think he'll get some better extension. He's going to have some good guys around him, a lot of youth around him, which as an older player, a veteran as he is, it'll really help vamp him up, get him going a little bit more on those days where he's a little tired.
And we're going to see him second batter up this inning. Batting in the 2-hole for the Pirates. We'll see where he eventually slots in. Kind of a low walk guy, but a 280 career batting average. So a pretty good stick as we head back to Joe Block and Steve Blass at Lecom Park for the second inning of play, guys.
Well, thanks, guys. And Michael, you know, with you playing with him too, I was curious about how, you know, his personality, because he seems right now he's a little quieter because he's with a new team. But how did you get to know him?
He's kind of a goofball in his own right. He's going to be quiet at first. He's going to get to know the lay of the land and understanding. He's a workhorse, so he kind of wants to get to know the coaching staff, the hitting coach, and kind of figure out where he stands and what voice he needs to have. Once he figures that out, he'll be a little more vocal, but he really lets his actions speak louder than his words.
Thanks, Michael, and thanks, Rob. We'll be checking in throughout the broadcast today.
Yeah, being a former goofball myself, I'll look forward to catching up with Corey.
Former, nothing of the sort. Active. Here's Josh Harrison to lead things off for the Pirates.
Against Dylan Bundy, we saw him like a week ago over at Sarasota, working for the Orioles, just 10 miles down the road.
Slammed out toward left center, and that one will split the gap. And bobbled as well by Presley. And it'll still be a double for Josh Harrison.
Finding the gap. Always good when you got that kind of speed.
Well, he's always out of the box quickly. That enabled him to have a chance at third once that bobble took place. And the men following for the RAV4 lineup for the Pirates today: Corey Dickerson up next with Starling Marte batting third. Gregory Polanco, the DH, cleans up. David Freese at first with Colin Moran at third. Cervelli, Rodriguez, and Mercer, the 7, 8, 9 hitters for Clint Hurdle today.
Well, you know, Joe, we cleaned up the mindset of the Pittsburgh Pirates yesterday after a disastrous Saturday. We got pounded here, we got pounded in Sarasota, and then you turn that around and shut out the Toronto Blue Jays yesterday. So everybody comes to the ballpark today with a little bounce in their step compared to showing up Sunday. That was a tough Saturday.
Yeah, a nice game yesterday. Well pitched. Yeah. Clay Holmes, who was sent down today, had a great outing yesterday. Dylan Bundy's going to not be sent down. He's a big part of this Orioles staff.
Yep. Led them in wins, 13 wins. That'll keep you around for sure. You can get to him with a long ball a little bit. 26 home runs. Not a crazy number, but it can be done.
Yeah, these days that's not a crazy number with home runs as high as they were last year, higher than ever. Pirates hoping that Corey Dickerson will provide some of that. And we were talking, you know, the left-handed presence. We have Dickerson, we see Polanco, we see Moran all in the lineup today, and
Josh Bell can turn around and swing from that side.
Now he'll bat primarily left-handed, right? So there's some 4 thumpers right there, trying to take advantage of the home ballpark. And you might think, well, you know, a big home run guy like Dickerson batting second today in spring. You don't know. He batted either first or second with Tampa Bay last year. And the Pirates have said, you know, he's going to bat one of those top 3 spots more than likely.
It'll be interesting to see how the regular lineup night after night shakes up. That's a ball in play because the wind will bring it back maybe to fair territory, and it does. That breeze blowing in that direction.
That fooled him on that breaking ball. That's the first out. Now the Orioles defense today: Presley, Rasmussen, Rickard. From left to right, Valencia, Sardinas, Scope, and Pedro Alvarez. Andrew Susak, designated by the Brewers in the offseason, picked up. There's the all-star Scope, native of Curacao in the Netherlands Antilles.
You saw Alex Presley, former Bucco, signed by Bill Mazeroski's son Darren, as was Weaver, our starting pitcher, signed by Darren Mazeroski. So Darren's been scouting for the Bucks down in the Florida area for quite a while. McRae, why did I say Weaver? Alex McRae. So he signs guys with the first name Alex.
Okay, sure, yeah. You got the market corner. There goes Harrison. And the throw on the money, but late. Stolen base for Josh Harrison.
You get a pitcher that's a little bit careless. Okay, not paying much attention. Here I go. Hope to see a good bit of that from Josh this year.
First one in the spring. And now that's important. You know, talking with Kamara Barti about, you know, being aggressive and when is it a good idea. And I think just reminding guys situationally, hey, with one out, good idea to get to third. You know, 2 outs, it may not be worth the risk.
Get yourself a cheap run, as they say.
Yeah, fly ball now. All set. 2 outs. You know, a guy with that speed, he's going to score on a base hit anyway. risk getting thrown out. So things like that, trying to take that extra base. There's Marte, what he converts. Runner at third, fewer than 2 outs. Spoiling that fastball from Bundy. Marte has put a charge in a couple this year. He's got Polanco next. Talk about put a charge in one yesterday in Dunedin. What a soaring laser home run did Polanco.
Got their offense early, didn't the Bucks, and then held down for the shutout.
Marte, a strikeout victim. Well, Bundy is going to be atop that Orioles rotation with Kevin Gossman this year. Now Polanco, who hopes for a healthy campaign. Saw in that 16 season what he is capable of.
Looks a little leaner and meaner this year.
And that is
Almost
get a run in.
Almost a fabulous catch. That ball wasn't in the air very long, and Valencia almost turned his back, twisted around, and make a spectacular play, but couldn't corral it.
Better be lucky than good. Sometimes that curveball fooled Polanco.
Did it ever? There's Valencia going back and couldn't keep the leather around the baseball. That's what they're driving those runs, Gregory.
That's right. That's a run batted in and a base hit. Little hot potato out there. Now a 2-out chance for David Freese.
You know, I was just wondering if, with Polanco coming into camp lighter weight-wise, whether you might see any more attempts stealing bases, whether that might pick up this season. So
that makes sense.
Bundy thinking along that same way, maybe. David Freese has 1 home run. I think it was an opposite field job for David Freese. That would work in these conditions today. Now the wind turning a little bit, maybe not directly to right, but now maybe helping everybody a little bit, a little more straight away.
Big friendly hop for Sardinias. Pirates get a run in the first. Gregory Polanco, the RBI hit. 1-0 through 1. Pirates have a 1-0 lead over the Orioles through an inning here in breezy Bradenton. Cracker Jacks, peanuts, ice cold drinks.
Yeah.
Water?
No. Not in that bucket.
It's a nice place. Hope you get a chance to come down here if you haven't before.
Yeah, we have not had many overcast days. The month of February is absolutely spectacular, spilled over into early March. That's good. You maintain all the routines that you set things up for, especially when you start getting toward the middle of March. You got things pretty well set up, how you're going to work your way into cuts, how you playing time, innings pitched, at bats starts narrowing down. You don't want to lose any time. Keep those schedules that you got going intact.
Out toward Marte. And Valencia gone to start the Orioles second. Yeah, the Pirates are making some more cuts today. Sending 8 more players to minor league camp. Austin Meadows has gone back down, and he doesn't have a spot right now, but I'm sure he's going to come rearing back at some point this season, just 22 years old. And Jack Leathersich, probably the other name. He was one of the guys in camp, but maybe going to make the club as a lefty.
Long shot. Yep.
He was with the Pirates briefly last year.
Austin Meadows, only 22. He's been in spring training 11 years.
He'll turn 23 soon. Yeah.
We've been aware of Austin Meadows for a long time, and we've been aware of him in his efforts to stay healthy. Hope it works this year.
Alex Presley trying to hook on with the Orioles after a good year with Detroit last year.
Enjoyed watching Alex play as a Pirate. He's a guy to root for.
Wearing number 0.
Yeah, we'll continue to do that now that he's in the American League.
First Oriole to wear 0 if he makes the club. He's no Junior Ortiz, but he'll do.
Don't know why they picked those numbers, but that's their deal. It's their business.
An initial. It's not one in his name. First strikeout for Alex McRae. And with 6 bobblehead dates this season, you'll want to be at PNC Park to collect them all. Take home Josh Bell on July 14th, Andy Van Slyke on August 4th. Plus, kids 14 and younger get a special Pirates Hulk bobblehead on July 29th. All the great bobbleheads. Get tickets at pirates.com/bobbleheads.
Nobody throwing in the Pirate bullpen right now. Alex McRae is a starter. We mentioned what he's done the last couple of years, so he's been pretty tidy so far. A couple outs here in the second. Maybe they'll run him out there for 3.
Yeah, 2 up, 2 down here in the second. Yeah,
you get an opportunity to do this and show them that you're capable. We almost got drilled there. I know.
You did. I was under the desk.
Yeah, I would have made the play. Greg Brown and Bob over on the radio side. I don't know what they were talking about, but they were not ready to make that play. How about Alex McRae?
The kid from New Berlin, Wisconsin, doing a good job. And a 1-2-3 inning. And let's go back to the North Shore Studios for this UPMC Spring Break with Rob King and Michael McHenry.
Joe, thanks very much. Obviously, one of the big acquisitions for the Pirates this offseason was Colin Moran, a .290 minor league hitter, the new third baseman for the Pirates. Last year, he tapped into some power, hitting 18 home runs in just 79 games at AAA. Was asked earlier this spring about helping replace the home runs lost by the Andrew McCutchen trade.
I hope so. That's the goal for sure. But I definitely won't go out there trying to hit the ball over the fence. Just kind of hope that if you do everything right, it'll kind of take care of itself if you hit the ball hard and kind of see where it goes type of thing.
So a swing change, or at least an adjustment, Michael, has helped Colin Moran go from that high average guy to maybe, hopefully, a guy that can also hit the ball over the fence. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, what I've seen in Moran from 16 to 17 is he's just got more efficient. He just said it right there. He's got a batting stance now and a batting approach that fits his personality. It's calm, it's collected, doesn't have a lot going on. In 2016, he came into the big leagues. His first taste, he hit 191 or 161. He was open, his hands were a little high, and he came down into the zone and made that foot close him off. Now he's spread out a little bit. He doesn't have a lot of movement. He's got his bat laid back, kind of like I said before, like Freddie Freeman or Jim Edmonds, and he's just short, simple. You will see his eyes and head not move very much. He just gets a little bit behind the ball, and he just tries to get that barrel right on plane and allow everything else to take care of itself. That first 6 inches is so important with guys' swings. Get behind it, and that first movement to throw this elbow into the slot and get his back going through the zone. He's just done an incredible job at that makeover, and I think it's going to really help him this year with the Pirates.
And we're going to get a chance to see Colin Moran bat this inning as we head back to Lecom Park.
And gonna interesting to see, Steve, you know, the left-handed swing to play at PNC Park, and especially as Michael was detailing now, it's a little more compact. And
it seems like Michael was trying to also make the point, it's just a whole quieter set of mechanics. There's not as much that anxious movement, tighter and quieter. I hate those kind of hitters. They're usually pretty good. Meanwhile, he's a rookie with a major league beard.
And sliced the other way, and a base hit. You know, you talk with scouts about Moran too. Now there's power there, but I think if you were to say in his rookie season, would he be more likely to hit 300 or hit 20 home runs, they might say he'd be more likely to hit 300. He took that ball off the outer edge.
Yep.
Hit it where it's pitched, right?
Yeah. And the wind knocked it down and kept it from going into foul territory. Worked out well.
Moran last year at AAA Fresno hit .308 with 18 homers.
Doesn't sound like that, but kind of a somewhat limited number of at-bats, right?
79 games.
Yeah, 300 at-bats, 18 home runs. Yeah, that'll show a pretty big stick.
Now Cervelli. Moran not really a big threat to run, though. Once in a while might swipe a bag. None last year, but 3 the year prior at AAA. That's when Bundy's at his best.
Off-speed pitch there, effectively thrown to Francisco, who's been on a little run. Bunch of 2 base hits recently. Finding those gaps.
I think it's always fun too when you face an American League team in spring training, and the Pirates and Orioles see each other. They're the closest geographically to one another, but you get to see some of these guys we don't get to see a lot of during the regular season.
Yep.
Bundy's one of the better pitchers in the American League. Young guy who continues to improve.
Yeah, 13 wins for a really struggling Baltimore team.
Cracked over short, base hit.
Nothing cheap about that one.
And a couple of singles sets up Sean Rodriguez, and that sets up Robbie Ince-Mikowski. Hey, Robbie.
Hey, Joe. So last month for a game, all clubs throughout Major League Baseball wore these hats. These are the hats of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School located in Parkland, Florida, which unfortunately was the place where a tragic shooting took place. 17 people passed away in the shooting. So these hats were worn by clubs in honor of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas School, and after the game, they were signed and put up for auction on MLB.com, and it had special meaning for Sean Rodriguez, who is from Miami, and he said it showed him that MLB is doing what everyone should be doing, and that is standing together. He actually said it was very tough for him to wear the hats that day. It was a very close reminder to him because he went to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Elementary School. Now, if anyone wants to get in on the action and bid on the hats, every player throughout Major League Baseball wore them. Go to auctions.mlb.com. The auction ends at 8 p.m. tonight, so there's still time to get in and donate to the fund, which benefits victims and their families in Major League Baseball. A big part of it, 100% of the proceeds of the sales of the hat are going to that fund. So, Joe and Steve, a nice gesture by Major League Baseball, and certainly a very tough moment for everyone, but especially Sean Rodriguez.
Yeah, and to just lend a little taste of what's going on around here, you see a lot of signs here and around this area, even though it's still several hours drive away. A lot of people extending their, on billboards and businesses and things like that, just saying, extending our hearts folks in Parkland, and we all do, of course. Rodriguez, who's had a great spring with the bat. The ballpark's going to hold it, though, but the runners can move up on that deep fly ball, and now in scoring position with 1 out. A productive out.
Yeah, and that gives you an idea how much carry. That's a pretty routine ball. Maybe it's good enough to be in between the outfielders, but that sailed a lot deeper than we thought it might. Everybody moves up.
And Cervelli, a catcher who, you know, moving up to second base. That shows you how deeply hit it was.
Yep, doesn't have to steal base. I don't look for us to be noted for our speed this year. It's not going to be the runaway buckos.
Yeah, the Pirates have their guys that can certainly steal a base.
Yep.
But the Pirates, yeah, I mean, the last year among the lower teams in base stealing. 29th in success rate out of the 30 teams. But Kamara Barti thinks that they could be better than that, and I agree. There's enough guys on the club that they could be at least creeping into the back of the pitchers' minds, especially a handful of the guys.
Oh, yeah.
RT back, as are all the Pirate coaches from a year ago. Coaching the base runners. You were a good base stealer back in the day.
Well, Pirates employing the designated hitter, so they're not one spot away from the pitcher spot here. Rodriguez.
Yeah, Mercer would probably bat in the 8th spot most of the time, but 9 today. And he turned the lineup over. American League style action today. Pirates have used the pitcher spot to hit when it's a guy that is likely going to be a starting pitcher on the Pirates during the regular year to give him maybe an at-bat, but clearly with Alex McRae filling in for Tyler Glasnow today, who had flu-like symptoms. Well, still does.
And Mr. McRae taking advantage of the opportunity so far. And he will be coming out for the 3rd. Nothing happening, nor would you expect her to be in the Pirate bullpen.
And Mercer down on strikes. First ball got him.
That's a major league situation that Bundy must be able to handle, and he's going to win 13 games as he did last year. Nice looking breaking ball there. Beauty.
He's got the 4-pitch mix and has shown it today. 25-year-old Oklahoman. After a pair of singles, men in scoring position now with 2 away. Jay Hay doubled off Bundy.
Another curveball for a strike. Not as good a curveball as he showed Jordy Mercer, but got away with it.
A little get me over. Steal a strike.
Yeah, get me to the catcher so that they don't swing at it.
With 2 outs here, base hit lightly plates a pair. Moran started the inning with a base hit. He's at 3rd, and Cervelli trailing him. Harrison trying to build on that all-star season. Going to play at 2nd. No need for him to bounce around this year. Trying to avoid getting hit by so many pitches. He got hit the other day, and I mean, every time he gets hit, the reporters ask him about it, and he always has something snarling to say. No fun. His season ended because of a hit by pitch last year. It almost seemed inevitable the way that year went.
Yeah, if you're going to use it as a weapon to get on base, you're taking a risk of getting hurt.
Poked out toward right. Rickard as the final out. So the Pirates threaten but strand a pair. And let's go back to our North Shore studios for this UPMC spring break with Rob and Michael.
Joe, thanks very much. And Joe mentioned that the Pirates made some moves. It's that time of camp where you start to get some bodies out, start to get your team a little more solidified. And we're going to take a look at the pitching aspect of it. Just a few guys that were sent down or reassigned to minor league camp. And the list has Clay Holmes on it, Jack Leathersich, a left-hander who figured to have a shot at the roster, and Damian Magnifico. I want to ask you about Magnifico in a moment, but Clay Holmes is a guy who spent, by the way, all of last year at AAA, so has some experience as a potential depth starter, but you really like what he can bring.
Yeah, Holmes is a guy with an absolutely nasty sinker. I faced him last year in AAA, and he was a guy that literally, if he was in the zone, you got to help him a little bit as a catcher in the sense of making sure that sinker stay in the zone. He's a lot like a Charlie Morton. He's got a ton of upside. He's got some great out pitches. He's a guy I expect to help the Pirates at some point this year. And then you were talking about Magnifico. Magnifico is a guy, in my opinion, that has incredible upside. We got him in the Rule 5 AAA draft, which baffles me. I caught this guy a couple years ago. He's got an absolute nasty sinker that just runs off the table. He's a very wiry kid, so his biggest issue is throwing strikes. So if you can get him in the zone, he's a guy that could be in the back end of your bullpen in a heartbeat.
And Magnifico, by the way, is the kind of guy that the Pirates seem to target, right? The big arm. Holmes already has that big arm. The Pirates drafted him. He's a guy that has been a starter, but really impressed Clint Hurdle last year in camp in short stints as a potential reliever if the Pirates get bogged down perhaps with maybe, too many options in the rotation.
Absolutely. He's a good example of Jared Hughes. He's a guy you bring in a pinch. You got to run on first, right-handed hitter up. You need a ground ball and 2 outs real quick. Jared Hughes was incredible at that at his time here. He's still doing it. He's with Cincinnati this year. But I'm telling you, this guy could come in a pinch, and I feel like he's got ice in his veins from seeing him. He's got the new addition of the beard, which I always love because it gives you that man appeal. And I think he needs that. He's going to go out and do his thing in AAA, refine whatever they told him in his meeting with Neil and Clint, and come back and really help this ball club.
Yeah, Clay Holmes, definitely an intriguing guy we may see this year as we head back to Joe and Steve. Guys?
Hey, I got a question for you, Michael, as we go along here in the top of the third inning. You've done a lot of catching in spring training games. It's got to be a lot of fun to see a young guy who is not expected to be with a ball club go out there and do what the kind of thing that McRae is doing. It's got to be a feeling that's good for not only that pitcher but a catcher also.
Absolutely. This guy looks like he's been there for a long time. He's filling up the zone. He's got to feel comfortable having a veteran catcher back there. He's getting extended right here. It'll be interesting to see how he does this inning right here. But to be honest, it's got to be exciting for Pirates fans to see someone that wasn't in camp. He's walking over and he's making a quick start and he's doing what he's doing. It's really cool.
Yep, got to be fun.
Yeah, McRae, a 10th rounder 4 years ago. So you think about Chad Kuhl, for instance, a 9th round pick. Just because you're not in that first or second round, it doesn't mean that you may not have a chance to make it. So McRae very much, as you pointed out, Steve, that he's been moving up the ladder as Sardinas trying to move over the runner, and indeed Susak to second on the sacrifice. The Orioles playing some National League style baseball.
Yeah, they are, absolutely. Yeah, and you saw a shot of Ray Searage and Justin Message making notations, and that's what you want to do. You want to have them remember your name and how you handle this opportunity, because it's exciting. It's nerve-wracking when you are a young pitcher with that major league uniform on out in front of everybody watching you, including the coaching staff. So far, so good.
We'll be talking with Ray Searage coming up in the bottom of the 4th today as the O's turn their lineup over. Austin Hayes kind of banged up in camp, trying to make the roster as a right fielder. Very good looking prospect. McRae with a man at second for the first time today. And McRae, 24 years old. That's Susak, catcher. Out of Eisenhower High School in New Berlin, Wisconsin. It's outside of Milwaukee. Played for Scott Schimmel there.
Is that near West Allis?
That's where he was born, yeah. He grew up in New Berlin. Yep, right there. That's basically a suburb. Moran looks back the runner. 2 gone here in the Orioles' 3rd inning. And the Pens return to AT&T Sportsnet on Thursday when they take on the Canadians in Montreal. Stay tuned and watch the Pens as they try to stay atop the Metro standings. Our coverage begins at 7 with Pens pregame to get you ready for the Pens and the Habs from Montreal. That is a fun place to watch a game. We got the opportunity, me and John Wayner, Greg Brown, last year when the Pirates played in Montreal to see a game there. That is a cool place to watch a hockey game. So that'll be fun to watch. We'll be tuned in. Hope you will be as well. Colby Rasmus on this cloudy day. He's got the sunglasses on. It's kind of still, though, it's kind of, I don't know, that sun always peeks through, doesn't it, here in Florida?
Yeah, well, you know, yesterday it was supposed to rain, kind of overcast in the morning, then it got gorgeous. So it moves through quickly. Whatever you get is not going to be around long. I'd love to see McRae leave that man at second base. This is kind of fun to watch. Bring back a few memories of getting opportunities when you're an invitee to a Major League camp.
You remember pitching early on in your career in big league camp?
Yes, and being terrified. My first one, I was 18. I was less than a year out of high school. And I got invited down to watch the World Champions in 1961 in Fort Myers. That was my first spring training. They had just won. I hardly dared to look. It was interesting. We had an old style clubhouse. There was a room for the major leaguers, champions, and then there was a door, and the invitees were back there. And we would just peek around the door, literally. Oh, there's Mazeroski. Oh, my goodness, there's Clemente. Vernon Law, he's big. Bob Friend, he pitches every day. You know, we knew what we were looking at, but it was so exciting to be just a recent high school graduate and then go down and look at all that and experience all that and get in a game or two.
And be on the same field.
Yeah.
Those are your teammates.
Yeah, pitchers fielding practice with Vernon Law and Bob Friend and Elroy Face. And watching Dick Stewart try to play first base. Every ball that went up in the air, he said, there's plenty of room, Maz. And Verdon might catch it in center.
Nice play, Wayne Kirby. Orioles first base coach. Looking like Maz over there, huh?
And then getting to pitch against Mickey Mantle at 18 years old.
Oh, really?
Only me and the laundryman knew how nervous I was.
I could only imagine.
But you remember that. And if you watch Alex McRae, it's fun to watch right now. Almost got that. Just as your former buddy would say, just a little bit outside.
McRae, from that neck of the woods, in fact. Milwaukee. Here is a Pirate. Part of those Eastern League champion Altoona Curve last year. Pitched in the playoffs there. Has not walked a batter today, but now 3-2 on Rasmus with the dangerous scope next.
Pretty good looking off-speed pitch there that Rasmus showed some discipline on.
I bet you this gives McRae a lot of confidence too. I know it's a spring training game, but you face some regular major leaguers and you do well. Although Scope got him, the only Oriole hit. Oh, 2-out single by Scope. 3-2, and he lost him. He's going to see Scope again.
Close but no cigar. A couple base runners.
Well, McRae hasn't gone more than 2 innings in camp with the Pirates so far. And the only Oriole to get a hit off him today, he's got to get him to end this third. With 2 men aboard, Jonathan Scope.
Let's see if he can do it as the Pirates start to move around in the bullpen as he is extending this top of the third. First 2 were neat and tidy, 1 base runner. Now a little bit of a snag, needs an out.
.32 home runs for Scope last year. Now these Orioles, they can hit home runs. We've seen that. Scope just 26 years old and really has developed into one of the best second basemen in baseball, at least on the offensive side for sure. ball and a strike. Yudi Garcia starting to warm up. Bullpen cam. We got all angles covered.
Alex probably thinking right now, all right, hit it to somebody. Get me out of here. Let me leave this thing clean. And he did. All
right on to Mercer.
Ask.
Yeah. Ask and you shall receive. Nice outing if that's it for Alex McRae today. 3 scoreless against the Birds bats. And let's check back in on our North Shore studios with our UPMC Spring Break. Rob King and Michael McHenry.
Joe and Steve, thanks you. Alex McRae, in case you're just joining us, Tyler Glass now with flu-like symptoms, so McRae steps in, does a really wonderful job. You know, when you look around the diamond for the Pirates, I think with veterans, if Cervelli's healthy, you know, Mercer, Harrison, Marte, there's certain guys with track records. Gregory Polanco, at this point of his career, you'd think he would be in that category, but I'm not sure he is. He got off to such a great start in 2016, didn't have a great year last year, has reshaped his body. You know, what effect can that have from going from a bulkier guy to a trimmer, more flexible guy for Polanco?
You know, Polanco, he went back this offseason and went back to what he knows. In 2016, he was training with a guy. I don't know if you've seen the special. If you haven't, you need to go see it. They did a special on him going back to his old trainer. A lot of big league guys, even Marte, said, I don't like training with it. It's too hard. And I think Polanco just went back to what he knows and went back to the body type he had coming up. You know, last year he got a little bit bulky and it ended up hurting him. And sometimes those tight muscles can end up pulling in the middle of the season. Sometimes you can't hold on to that muscle mass as good as you could in the off season. So I think by trimming up, being a little bit more dynamic in the off season, running around, jumping, doing all those things, it's going to give him an opportunity to stay healthy, because the higher his oxygen intake is, he wore a mask in that special, the higher his oxygen intake is, the better his blood's going to flow through his body, and the better those white cells can actually help him recover. To get a little scientific with you.
You got scientific, and as we head back to Joe and Steve, Polanco batting third this inning. Guys, 287 at the All-Star break 2 years ago, a 362 on base, a 500 slugging percentage. It felt like he was ready to break through and become a star, and then the injuries, and then maybe losing last year because of that decision to bulk up. So to me, he's a really interesting guy to keep an eye on this year.
Yeah, no doubt, guys. And, you know, there was about a 2-month stretch last year where, you know, between some of those hamstring injuries, that he was hitting like that 2016 version of Polanco too. So when he's healthy, you know, he's a young player that, you know, I think, and those guys think too, right, Steve? I mean, they can be a middle of the order type guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you, I've heard enough from Michael. I'm going to embrace that diet and that workout schedule that Polanco has. Thank you, Michael. You're going to see a new, well, no, you won't. I think I'll stay with my diet.
It's working so far. Doing great. I mean,
it's working. It's working.
Got plenty of sun. Looking good.
No. That hasn't helped the golf swing.
Yeah, well, see, now that's exactly what Polanco's problem. He was looking really, really good last year, right? But, you know, baseball-wise, right? I mean, it's not all about looks. It's about function, I guess, and where those muscles are, I guess, right?
However you come in, heavier or lighter, when the dust settles at the end of the year, if it works, that was the right thing. If it doesn't, well, you make some adjustments.
And Corey Dickerson talked about the same thing, about how, you know, one year he tried to not lift weights and, you know, started later. You know, basically got the spring training before he did anything. A little flare for a base hit. Dickerson's got his first knock today. So everybody's got a little different routine. And a look at our Barrel Automotive League leaders, so the National League leaders in stolen base percentage last year. And even though Marte missed half the season, he's still very efficient. One of the best at not getting thrown out.
Yeah, now you want to incorporate that percentage with volume.
Exactly, right. So when, you know,
do more of it.
When you look at where the Pirates' numbers were down in stolen bases last year, I mean, that's a big part of it. Marte's going to get 30 falling out of bed. And if he gets on base like he can, he's going to strike out a lot. He's not going to walk a lot, but, you know, candidate to hit 300. Puts him on base a lot. Now, where do you bat him? I think right now I don't know if there's really, it seems a very fluid top of the batting order right now for the Pirates, is try to figure out where to slot everybody.
Yeah, that
Marte's batted everywhere.
That'll be interesting for Clint Hurdle.
Maybe Marte is that swing guy that just moves as we go. That one hit well. Now toward left, but it'll hang up there for Presley. That crosswind really has knocked down a few balls today. And now with one out, we will see Gregory Polanco.
See if he can make a little more solid contact than he did first time up.
Yeah, he got it.
Well, he's, you know, you look at him and you look at the body and you look, he looks like a baseball player. He's put together that way, long legs, got great lengthy speed. The strides when he goes from first to third, it looks great. But you've got to get the production out of it. He can't look like a ball player and not produce. So you look at him and you think he's capable of all kind of things, and he is. So you move forward, you make progress, and he doesn't have to hit 50 home runs, but move forward, continually move forward instead of staying the same.
That last year there was a stretch, well, basically from Memorial Day through mid to late July, between the first two hamstring injuries, where he hit 281 and slugged 462, which is about what you might think he would do. And you see there, I mean, a lot of those months were shortened because of injury. In July he started to get going again, but then another hamstring injury on the 22nd of July. And just try to stay healthy. You know, what does he do in 140, 150 games, right?
Well, you want him out there. You want all three of your outfielders out there for 150 games, and see how it shakes out. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. You write their names in, and you hope their abilities shine.
And the other good thing is with the Pirates is that they've got Adam Frazier too, of course an infielder by trade, but really has shown that, you know, outfield might be his better position right now, and certainly can hit, and he can spell any three of those guys at any time, and you know, give them a little break if they're banged up.
Yeah, we're going to have a good bench. Sean Rodriguez can play in the outfield if you need him there. So I think I'm optimistic about our bench. Right? David Freese.
There's Sean with Francisco Cervelli. Hit high in the air.
Just missed it.
And Rasmus able to corral the second out. Dickerson at first here in the Pirates' third inning, and the first game at PNC Park opening day coming up on Monday, April the 2nd. That will be the Minnesota Twins coming to town at 1:05. All fans will take home a Pirates wall calendar and magnetic schedule presented by PNC Bank. So come on out for all the festivities out on Federal Street before opening day. It's a holiday. Get your tickets at pirates.com. Hopefully it'll be some good weather as well. Looks like maybe in, I don't know, another 4 or 5 days of, you know, that just dreary weather back home, and then I think we'll start to feel a little bit more spring-like. Here's David Freese, no pun intended. I think in the 40s today. Back home. Breezy here today.
I look at your challenge in Detroit in March.
Yeah, yeah.
Weather-wise.
Well, the season begins earlier than ever this year. Yeah, a very breezy day down here. But yeah, the Pirates will open in Detroit. It's an outdoor stadium.
Well, you had a challenge in Boston last year. Wasn't one some of those days, a couple of those days?
One was postponed.
Yeah, one was nasty.
And the Pirates will also open the Cubs home season after their initial homestand. So opener at Wrigley Field, you can imagine, will be icy.
You can always get the conditions at Wrigley. By the way, another nor'easter coming up the East Coast. I get these calls from relatives in Connecticut. They're bracing once again, so the weather a little squirrely recently.
These southeasters, though, have been quite nice.
Yeah, they've been non-existent.
Yeah, right.
For the most part.
Yeah. Great place to come and watch a ball game. Very cozy confines.
It is.
Right
it's
here.
just a good feel. It's a pretty place. It's comfortable. They do a great job here. The amenities.
A classic ballpark that has been modernized. I've been playing baseball in the corner here for 95 years. Epperson trying to steal a bag with the second baseman covering. He's gone. Freeze will lead off Pirates' next chance. And so 1-0 after 3, and we'll go back to our North Shore studios. Check in with Rob and Michael on this UPMC spring break.
Joe and Steve, thanks very much. As a former teammate of Pedro Alvarez as a catcher, you probably had some ideas about how to get him out. As a pitcher, though, Michael, not so sure. We're going to take you back to August of last year in Durham, minor league action. Pedro Alvarez at the plate, Michael McHenry on the mound. Little hesitation in the windup there.
Yeah, I threw him a couple knuckleballs early on, got him 0-2, and McRae early in this game got him to pop up on that same pitch. He throws just a little bit harder than I do. It's kind of funny. He even gives his typical Petey the big smile to Kurt right here, the catcher with the Vanderbilt with him, big smile, whatnot. But he got me. We had a good joke about it, but it's pretty funny. Next time I'm going to strike him out, though.
Was that an 0-2 pitch that he hit out?
Yeah, it was an 0-2 pitch. He fouled off a couple balls, and then he hit that one in a new zip code, I believe.
So it's safe to say that was a mistake pitch, right? It got away from you a little bit?
Yeah, it did. A little bit. I should have gone a little higher. I don't have enough velocity, and you've always heard the term that catchers throw the best BP.
Right.
Well, I pitched twice last year, and trust me, I threw great BP.
And you gave a little doff of the cap to the fans as you left, right? As you left the game?
Absolutely. I gave the tip of the cap at the end of the game, got a standing ovation. It was a lot of fun. I had a blast with it. And at the end of the day, it's a minor league game. You're just trying to get through it. We were low on arms and, just make it work. And I got touched up a little bit.
You got through your inning, 4 hits, 5 earned runs, a lot. You did get through your inning, though, which was important to give those guys a break as we head back to Joe and Steve at Lecom Park. Guys.
Hey, Michael, he was just lucky. I saw the pitch. He was lucky. He guessed right. And Michael, speaking of guessing, I want to get your take on the last maybe 5 or 7 years. The curveball. It doesn't seem like we have as many good curveball major league hitters, as maybe we did in the past. And they're swinging and committing early at curveballs that are in the dirt. Does that lend itself to catchers being more drawn to breaking balls?
I think it has to do, I don't know if you've heard the word tunneling. It's big in analytics right now, and guys are tunneling their fastball with that breaking ball. So where they're releasing their fastball, that curveball is coming out of the exact same slot. So guys as hitters, they see the ball as a fastball if the guy has good arm speed. If the pitcher has really good arm speed, he sees fastball as a hitter, and then all of a sudden, whoop, it goes out of the zone, falls off that table. And that's why they're swinging a lot of those balls in the dirt. I wish more guys would throw that curveball more often in and out of the zone, because it's a great swing and miss pitch.
Well, Michael, also you use the word tunneling. I'll use the word guessing. These guys are starting their swing so early now, it seems like, and if you guess fastball and don't get it, you're going to look foolish swinging some of those balls in the dirt, I would guess.
Absolutely, and a lot of these guys have very loud swings, and they want to get it started, and they're worried about the pitch in, so they try to jump on that pitch early. And if they do, and they throw that breaking ball, they're going to look like, they're on a teeter-totter when they swing.
We'll see with Novidas Neverovskis, who's on in relief with his hard slider that he throws. Well, with the curveball, a little bit different than a slider, right? I mean, that's.
Yeah, the curveball, it's an off-speed pitch. The slider is basically a cut fastball, so it's an interesting thing because some of these balls are bouncing in front of the dirt.
Past the shift and past Rodriguez. Well, Neverovskis able to limit Alvarez to just a double. A lot better than what Michael was able to do.
That ball is tattooed. Sometimes you have a shift on, but if they hit it hard enough, you can't move quick enough.
I don't know why they don't just put everybody over there.
Just, an all skate. Everybody go over there. Yeah.
First extra base hit for Baltimore today.
Yeah, and Pedro telling Josh Harrison all about it too.
Here's Danny Valencia. There's a curveball from Neverovskis. Now, the sun is starting to peek out a little bit more often now. It has been a cloudy day there. Yeah, now a different shift with a right-handed batter up. Don't often see the shortstop out in short left. Why do you think that is? Well, you know, the lefties, you see a guy out in short right, but shortstop usually stays home.
Yeah, it's just, well, they're just trying to clog up that side on the ground.
I got hit right to short, and that makes an easy throw. I suppose if you're out there in left field, you can never get the ball over there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that helps Alvarez stay right there at second. Now, Neverossa's got a shot at making the club. He saw his first action with the Pirates as the old friends have a chat.
Yep, it was a great story. You know, obviously the first player to come from Lithuania to pitch in the major leagues and handle it well.
I was talking with Dovydas before the game today about, you know, now that he's a big leaguer, can he walk the streets of Vilnius without getting mobbed? Yeah, it's fine. No one cares about baseball. Nothing's changed. And, you know, that's just underscores, you know, what an accomplishment it's been for him to get there. Nice play by Mercer to keep that ball in the infield and save a run.
Yep, well done. Much appreciated by a pitcher. Now you still got the double play in order and get out of this mess.
Can I put a star by a base hit?
Yeah.
You do the circle, right, for the good plays?
Yeah, yep, absolutely. Yeah, that one, it's a circle. Any pitch will circle that play.
Yeah. Now you keep the double play in order with one out. And Neveroskis will face Joey Rickard. Four home runs at 241 as a bench guy, backup outfielder with Baltimore last year.
I don't know if he's going to take all the way, but why would he shorten up to think about a bunt here in this situation?
I don't know.
There's so much about hitting I don't know.
That wouldn't be the play that I would imagine. Hit a fly ball and try to tie the score. Or that's a base hit. That also works for the O's, who will knot the score. RBI Joey Rickard. So 3 hits off Neveroskis.
No, Neveroskis.
They didn't bring in the third baseman after that bunt try.
No,
Moran wasn't buying it.
Civilian, he talking it over. This is one of 6 allowed conferences out to the mound.
New rules this year, a limit on mound visits.
Yeah, you know, they used to say there's no clock in baseball. Now there's clocks all over the place. Do they time this visit?
Not.
Oh no, that's 2:08 out. That's the time of day out there.
Yes. Well, no, that clock's used for other things, but yeah, there's a discretion on just like it's always been. You know, you're out there too long, the home-plate umpire will come break it up. Andrew Susak was clipped with a pitch his first time.
But they are going to enforce other clock aspects this year. They're going to do something with
There
the
are
pitcher.
new rules.
Yeah.
I can't tell you if they're going to be enforced, but there are new rules
involving clocks.
When the pitcher has to stop throwing warm-up pitches between innings, try to keep it a crisp changeover.
Amazing.
Falling behind the number 8 hitting Susak here. A lot of the discussion will be with the umpires, as we've seen a slew of changes to the rule book over the last few years.
Yeah,
it's a matter of how it will be enforced.
Yeah, I want to know how fine the line is going to be in describing what is a pitcher's conference with anybody, as opposed to what is not going to be a conference.
And you know the different. They've got an outline for all the different rules, but there's still some gray areas, of course, and we'll see how it comes into play. Well, you know, will it be something, that limit, that happens a lot, or will it be a very rare thing? And catchers have already made the adjustment in the spring. It looks like we see very few visits early on in the game. Cervelli fairly outspoken about the changes made, but you know, we've seen a lot of changes, and you know, I think guys adjust.
Was he for him or not against him, Cervelli?
He doesn't want the
restrictions.
the mound visit limit.
Well, to be honest, he's out there a lot.
They got a walk here, and the Birds have loaded him up. So here's all the details, what constitutes a mound visit, and I think pretty straightforward here is per 9 innings. Of course, extra inning games, you're going to be able to get one that doesn't make a pitching change in extra innings, and so the manager or coach comes to the mound, a player leaving the position to confer with the pitcher, or the pitcher leaving the mound to do the same thing. And then if they get crossed up after the 6 has already taken place, they can be granted an extra one. And there'll be some video replay review adjustments as well. Talking with Kevin Roach today about that. And there'll be a couple of slow-mo angles in every clubhouse around baseball.
The interesting thing to me is a player leaving his position. Is there a line where he can't cross, where if he stays behind the line, they can have a conference?
It's going to be discretionary. The umpires will have to do that. The Pirates have already used 2 visits here with Neverauskas here.
And can a catcher just throw his arms up and tell the umpire, hey, cross me up?
After the 6, after they've reached their limit, if the umpire wants to grant that, yes.
Okay, so the umpire has got to decide whether this guy's lying to him or not. So,
yes. So there will be a lot of judgment. I don't think it's going to come into play nearly as much as I think it is.
Good. I hope you're right, Joe. I hope you're right. Meanwhile, Neverauskas, after a really nice outing by McRae, went 3 scoreless, giving up just a hit, a walk, and recorded 2 strikeouts. Davidas is in a bowl of soup.
He's got the number 9 hitting Sardinius. A light slap hitter, but runs pretty well, so tough to double up. Although in this situation, there is a lot of opportunity for a double play.
And also an opportunity for a strikeout, which would fit very nicely right here out in front. And the count 0-2.
Out towards center and certainly deep enough. And off the glove of Marte, that is going to allow a lot of orange to fly around the bases. 2 are in on the ball off the glove of Marte, and the Orioles have their first lead.
Hit well, but catchable.
That'll be ruled a double. Sardinius
is riding on the wind a little bit, and he goes a long way, but a little bit of a circle early in the angle. A little tighter on that, maybe it becomes an easier opportunity.
And with 1 out, the runners had to watch that ball, so only 2 across. Susak moves to third. And here comes Susak. And the O's have another.
Well, this is a full-fledged mess. We saw an inning over, day before yesterday, where they scored 7 in 1 inning on their way to a 13-5 win.
And that wind can play tricks, and that one right there just...
That should have been caught, unless he was crossed up.
See how they rule that one. Pass ball.
Yep.
So 3 hits, One of which we look back at that play by Mercer, keeping the ball in the infield, thinking I might be able to get out of it without a run because of that, but Rickard rolled a single. And the walk to Susak, and then Sardinius with the ball off Marte's glove. And now Hayes ahead in the count, 2-1. There's Marte, who's shaded well over toward right center now. Lots of room there with the infield in. And Neverauskas having a hard time finding the strike zone. 3-1.
Yeah, and they're going to get busy in the Pirate bullpen in case it continues.
Already at 24 pitches. Yudi Garcia back and heating up again.
Second time. He should be ready to go if they call on him.
Out to Dickerson. And here comes Sardinius. It'll be a sac fly for Hayes. And Baltimore has a 5-1 lead. So the O's cash them all in. Now that's tough for a guy trying to make a ball club, you know.
Yeah, because that's not a lock. You know, he was in the big leagues last year, but it's not a lock that he is on the staff.
Well, guys, of course, the Pirates brass evaluate more than just, all right, they don't take just the lowest ERAs and where, you know, those 7 guys, that's your bullpen, but obviously struggling to try to get that final out in this inning.
Well, Joe, there's also another factor. Sometimes a team, even though it's not for publication or for public consumption, they will have their minds made up. Even coming into spring training, it can be a case where, all right, this guy is not going to be on our club. This guy is going to be on our club. And not that it happens on a regular basis, but it happens. So sometimes you never know at the end, okay, this guy stayed. Well, he was going to stay no matter what. Coming into camp, he was going to stay. This guy had a good spring, but you know what? He wasn't in our plans. He still isn't. He could be later on. So some of those decisions are made before you get to camp. It's as simple as that. And we'll see how it plays out, obviously, because, again, you don't know. They've got ideas that they don't talk much about, and they don't have to. I mean, not everything has to be glaringly out in the open. There might be some things that they're a little tight-lipped about, and that's okay.
Neverauskas, 25 years old, can still be optioned.
Another big factor. Yep.
And he's got that too. A nice slider to strike out Rasmus. But the Orioles pick up 5 in the 4th. 5-1 Baltimore.
Toyota all-wheel drive RAV 4th inning. Toyota, what drives you?
5-1 Baltimore as we get set for the bottom of the fourth here in Bradenton. Very glad you're with us. Very glad to bring along Pirates pitching coach Ray Searage. Hey, Ray.
How you doing?
Great to have you along. Thanks for taking some time for us.
Well, thanks for having me.
Well, Steve and I were talking about, you were saying about Alex McRae, Steve.
Yeah, kind of a fun thing, Ray, when you get a chance to watch a young pitcher go out, kind of an exciting time for the pitcher and see him do well. That had to be fun today.
No, it was. You know, it was a spur of the moment. Glass had to be scratched because he had the flu, stomach flu, and Alex was the candidate and came through with flying colors.
Were you aware of him to any extent, Ray, before he came into camp, or you saw him pitch?
Yeah, well, I never saw him pitch, but I heard about the name and you know what he does and what he's capable of doing. And today it was Pirate pitching for 3 innings. It was a really good job of mixing his pitches, but also pitching in and doubling up in. And he just let that baby eat, and it was really exciting to watch.
Now, how do you deal with some of the new guys that come into camp from other organizations? Maybe you've seen them, maybe you haven't. You know, do you come in with an open mind, or do you use some of what you've seen with them as opponents?
Yeah, I've got to come in with an open mind and you know, try to indoctrinate them into the Pirate way of you know, the way we pitch and stuff. And that's a tough job because some of them had different foundations from different organizations, you know, and they're trying to make some sense of what we're giving them, and it's really a hard part because sometimes the information that they've done in the past is really ingrained, and to try to switch them over, it just takes a lot of work.
You know, Ray, people ask me all in the off season when we get ready to come down to spring training, what the keys are, and the thing that comes to my mind going into this year and maybe last year too. How important is the 6th inning? I tell people the 6th inning is important because you'd like to get as many 6th inning starts as you can get. Is that as big a thing as I think?
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, the 6th inning seems to be the norm in Major League Baseball, but let me take it a step further. Ours is the 7th inning. They say a quality start is 6 innings and 3 runs or less. Well, ours is 7 innings with 3 runs or less. So we push the bar a little bit. We're going to make things a little bit tougher, and that's what our starters and way our depth starters are going to be looking at things.
Yeah, the average start in baseball last year. Okay, plug your ears, Ray. 5.5 innings and a 4.5 ERA. That was the average start in baseball last year. But I think I love when Steve brings that up because, yeah, if it's not the starter completing the 6th, this is where some of that bullpen depth comes into play, right? Because you need somebody to get that, you know, maybe the last 2 outs with a couple of men on in that 6th inning.
Yeah, exactly, and it's real key in the 6th inning. Sometimes, you know, the fatigue factor comes into play, and you've got to make sure you got a good bullpen that gets you out of a jam. Somebody will get you a ground ball. Somebody will get you a punch out. So, you know, you got to have a jack of all trades down there that could come in with runners on and not be hindered by that, and go out there and execute pitches and get hitters out, especially when the game's on the line.
And we see Jordan Milbrath pitching later on today. Has he shown you that he might be able to do that? Because he's been getting a lot of ground balls. He throws hard. It's an interesting kind of stuff package with him, huh?
Oh, there's no doubt about that. And the thing about it is he's only got 1 year under his belt on that delivery and the change of the arm slot. So he's mature well beyond his years, and a little bit more when he's out there on the bump. So, you know, we're going to try to get him out there and get him a lot of touches out there and see what we got. And, you know, he's got an opportunity, and we'll see how it plays out.
Ray, we talk about the rotation foundation kind of stuff with the baseball team, and pretty much know what you're going to get with Nova, Tyone. And when we talk about keys, how important, what are the keys involving Trevor Williams and Chad Kuhl?
Trevor Williams needs to make sure that he keeps his fingers on top and his hand behind the ball, as opposed to his fingers behind the ball and underneath it, because then he has a pushing motion and he loses that angle and the good movement on his two-seamer and the carry on his fastball. It also helps, you know, with the secondary pitches too. Those are things that we're going to be focused on. The biggest thing with Kuhl, he's got to be able to master his emotions. He goes into over-competitive mode, and it's difficult for him to try to get back into pitching mode. And then what he did last year was tremendous, but we're having a little bit of problem this year of getting him back into that pitching mode.
What do we know about Joe Musgrove, who slated to start the year as the fifth starter?
Yeah, well, Joe, you got to understand too now, and I said this on the radio this morning, is that he's 25 years old. Yes, he's been to the World Series, but he's coming from the bullpen to the rotation, our rotation now. So there's going to be a learning curve there too for him, and we're going to have to make sure that we cover a lot of bases with him, make sure that he's going to be able to figure himself out and get things in line. It's not an easy task on what he's got to do, but you know what? He is an elite competitor, and I think he'll be able to absorb a lot of that sooner than later.
Did that constitute a mound visit right there?
No,
was Cisco picking up the wrapper?
Don't start with me. Don't start with me, Joe. Don't start with me with that stuff.
I'm with you there, Blazer.
Ray, an overview of the spring training. Has it gone as smoothly as you would want it to go?
No, not really. There's been a transformation where, we've got to be able to pitch in. We've got to make hitters uncomfortable. We've done it in certain spurts and areas in certain games, but I'd like to see more consistency of that, and make sure that that's, because that's one of our standards. Pitching in and doubling up, moving body parts, and first pitch strikes. Those two things right there are major for us, and we're just not quite there yet. And we keep on harping on it, and I harp on it. And they're probably getting sick of hearing me say it, but you know what? You got to repeat something 22 times before the mind absorbs it. So
especially with pitchers. Yeah.
Yeah. You know how that goes.
Yeah, I know how that works.
Double that for lefties.
Beat it down their throat,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Ray Searage joining us here today. We were thanking Ray for all the time. The other kind of in vogue thing that we've heard more than 22 times is launch angle. Do the Pirates believe anything, in terms of pitching, to pitch against how other teams are treating launch angle?
No. I'll tell you right now, okay, launch angle, you can put that in your pipe and smoke it, because it's you don't teach launch angle. Launch angle is after the bat hits the ball. That's your launch angle. We're still going to own the bottom of the strike zone, and then we're going to elevate in purpose for certain counts and stuff. But they're not doing. I know Brano's not. It's just, it's just another. I'm sorry, and I might get my wrist slapped for this, but I just think it's another category that we're just going to pull out of our hat and start firing things out and say, yeah, launch angle this, launch angle that. I'm not on board with that.
Something new to have something new.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it.
Ray, I want to ask you too, if we get a chance, and we might not because of the double play, but are we going to see more curveballs and continuing the curveball era because so many guys are struggling with it?
I like that pitch.
Yeah.
I like that pitch. I'm the kind of guy that's going to teach him, and to utilize that curveball. Willie Williams, his curveball has gotten better. We peeled back the layers on that to get him to keep that those fingers on top. Cool's got one, but that's one of my things. I think starters should be able to throw 4 pitches, and one of them should be a curveball.
Ray, can't thank you enough for all the insight. Thanks for the time, and have fun the rest of spring training. We'll be talking to you.
Will do. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, Ray Searage joining us. So let's go back to our North Shore studios, a UPMC spring break with Rob King and Michael McKenna.
He's such a good guy, and he's fun to hear talk, and fun to have him talking about the curveball there at the end. And obviously, you work with Ray Searage. What did you like about Ray Searage?
He remembers how hard the game is. He's a guy that will be honest with you, straightforward with you. He's not going to blow smoke up your end by any means. He's a guy that's going to tell you, hey, you need to find your feel of every pitch. How are we going to get you back? How are we going to compete on a daily basis? And when I was there, and I'm sure he still does this, he always involves the catchers, no matter what. Whether it's in a bullpen, whether it's in the scouting report, he's always in their ears to learn as well as trying to teach. And you can't get a better guy, and he's one of the best pitching coaches in baseball, if not the best.
And positive. It always, again, we always see the positive feedback that he's giving the players, and that goes a long way because there's a lot of negativity. Let's talk about baseball being a lot of failure involved in the game of baseball. It seems like Ray has that positive vibe as well.
Yeah, he's very transparent. He's a guy that literally shows up every day with a smile on his face, ready to go. You know, he's even joking around about the launch angle there. You see how much fun he has. He says, put it in your pipe and smoke it. He used to say that all the time. When I was there, he actually smoked cigars a lot of times out in the bullpen and talks about the team coming in and whatnot. And I used to go hang out with him and Herbie and Yuki. And we just talk baseball. He loves the game. He loves the opportunity that these guys are getting as youngsters. And he's going to help them in every way he can, no matter what.
Yeah, unquestionably a guy that has had a huge impact on the Pirates and their pitching staff and their success over the last several years. Ray Searage, a pitching coach. Let's head back now to Joe and Steve at Lecom Park.
I'll tell you both, Rob and Michael, there's nothing like a pitching coach not only helping you with the mechanics and pitches and everything, but knowing that they have your back. That is so big, because you're going to get your face ripped off every once in a while, and to know that guy believes in you, trusts you, going to give you more opportunities, and he's there because he knows what it feels like. You can't buy that. You either have it or you don't. Ray Searage has it.
There's
I'll
no
underline
question.
that. And Yudi Garcia got up a couple of times in the pen, so Clint Hurdle bringing him in for the 5th. And he'll draw Jonathan Scope. Yudi Garcia, the native of Sabana Yegua in the Dominican Republic. Cracked to right. And this one will playing over the wall, and Scope will have a line drive home run.
Yeah. Welcome, Mr. Garcia.
32 left the park last year for Jonathan Scope, and his home run here puts the O's up 6-1. That is a lot of power right there. I mean, that looked effortless.
Effortless, and then you get a little help in that direction. Yeah, didn't take long. That ball's in play.
That's a base hit.
Foul ball. Never got to
Before
third
the
base.
bag. Thank goodness.
That was weird, because you knew it was going to be in play with the wind pushing it there. Just a matter where it's going to fall. Fair or foul, never got far enough.
Yeah, it stayed on the right side of the bag. It had that spin on it. Thank goodness it didn't just stay there. Pedro Alvarez almost found a way to beat that shift.
Almost hit it as hard as Polanco's single early in the game.
That brought in the Pirates' run. Now, if that happened on the other side of the bag, doesn't matter. But before the bag, could roll foul just like any bunt or anything like that.
Good to let it the Pirates let it roll, because nobody's going to get there.
That was, my heart sank. I said, you know, Pedro's going to get a hit on that. But that's the risk you take, right? When you employ a shift like that, you're leaving vacant an entire side of the field, but he almost never hits it out that way on the ground. And Garcia picks up the strikeout.
The third baseman, number 47.
Part of the Altoona Curve champions last year in Double-A. Fared a lot better in relief. Finally moving to the bullpen after some mixed results as a starter, and that he really took off and really fared very well against righties too. So might do start having a specialty there. Valencia 0 for 2 today. Garcia had every year had issued an ERA in the 2s, but last year over 5. Had a back injury, and then after that in mid-June came back as a reliever and really showed his wares.
All over the place with these last deliveries. A couple fastballs that missed up and in, getting the body out in front a little bit, and then missing with a curveball. So
yeah,
try something else.
Yeah, that's been his problem, is that flying open and trying to locate. And there, a free pass to Valencia with 1 out. And Free Shirt Fridays coming back for 2018, featuring Tyone, Clemente t-shirt designs, and many, many more. Plus every Free Shirt Friday this season is also a $1 dog night as well. So check out pirates.com/free shirt Friday. See all the designs coming up and get your tickets today. Those are cool looking. So the Pittsburgh Crawfords.
And they're free
as well. Odd Fridays, free shirt Friday. The alliteration.
Cool and free is a pretty good combo.
And the movement to retire Roberto Clemente's 21 throughout baseball. Omnipresent around Pirate games. Even supported by those O's fans. Alex Presley today, 1 out of 2. You would think an Oriole would have worn O, right? At some point.
Or deliberately avoided it altogether. It's pretty obvious you're an O.
Yeah, you already got it on your shirt.
Yeah.
And sometimes on your hat. Cervelli keeps it in front of him.
Might be looking at another possible mound visit. Gets a wide one here. He's all over the place after the home run. Got a strikeout on Pedro.
And he walked Valencia.
In danger of doing the same to Presley.
And now a walk there on 4 pitches. Well, Garcia last year 5.8 walks per 9 innings, so
too many.
You need about half that.
Ray's going to go out and talk to him.
Ray Searage will spend one of those mound visits on the 25-year-old Garcia.
And anytime you're in a major league camp, whether you're trying to make the ball club or not, and you get a chance to get out there in front of the major league staff, first thing you want to do is throw strikes. Okay, he got knocked around a little bit, but he threw strikes. But if you don't throw strikes, the memory is not as vivid. They're not going to remember as much, other than the fact you were wild. Not much else going on in terms of analyzing an outing when you can't throw strikes.
You appreciated Ray coming on last inning, giving us a lot of insight.
Ray's terrific. I get a chance to sit down with him every Sunday on the home games, and it's just a joy to talk to him. The information, the way he gives it, the ease with the way you get to work with him. It's something I look forward to every Sunday.
And he talked Garcia into throwing a strike. If it were that easy, right?
Okay, now if he's got 70 more mound visits, this could be a good inning.
Got the 4-color pen. Yeah, look what I found. And they're going to get 2. Nicely started by Yudi Garcia.
Ray, what a mound visit that was. Strike, double play. Bingo.
Yeah, well, some more analysis of that. Let's go back to our North Shore studios for this UPMC spring break with Rob and Michael.
Uncle Ray, as you call him, right? Going out there, getting the job done.
Absolutely. Threw a little magic dust on that one right there.
And good to see Yudi Garcia. Always fun to see some of these guys from minor league camp, or some of the guys, some names you've heard in the past who are getting their opportunity. Now, some names we've heard from the past, their opportunities are over. We told you earlier about some of the pitchers being sent down today. Here are the guys reassigned to minor league camp. Some big names: Jason Martin and Brian Reynolds. Trade acquisitions over the winter. Cole Tucker, outstanding shortstop prospect. And Austin Meadows, who really had his first taste of failure last year. Injuries, hit .250, only had a .311 on base percentage, a .359 slugging percentage. He talked about overcoming the injuries that limited him to 72 games and kept that effectiveness down last year.
Going through last year, just in general, I think it kind of, I think almost it's a blessing in disguise to kind of learn. A lot of people learn about themselves when they're going through tough times, and I think that was, now that it's in the past, it's almost a good thing to kind of go through that and kind of realize, how I am during those times, and it's kind of made me a stronger person.
Adversity is going to come. It comes for every player at some point. Good for Austin Meadows, maybe, to have gone through that at the minor league level?
I think so. I think sometimes these guys get, especially to the big leagues, they get there so fast, they don't have a chance to fail. And that's the only way you truly learn. I think him failing last year, going through some injuries, going through some things was really, really big for him. He was on a winning team in Indianapolis. He got to be around the guys. He had a good spring. He got to feel what it was like to succeed at that level, and I think it's going to carry over into the season. And I expect to see him at some point in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he had a great spring, hit .412. But interesting, Steve and Joe, the Pirates go out and get Dickerson. He's a left fielder that you'd assume that would be the path for Meadows, and now maybe a little more adversity here for Meadows trying to get to the major leagues.
Yeah.
Yes, it's kind of interesting because some guys get a tag put on them that they can't stay healthy. They can't stay on the field. And whether that's deserved all the time or not is one issue. But when guys continually struggle with health, you can't afford not to have people that are going to be able to play. So you hope that this string of bad luck, bad injuries, bad health for Austin gives way to a fact where we can see him for a season or 2 or 3, and you can see what you got, because sometimes it's even more than 1 year. So you want to see him on a regular basis for a while to see what you really, really do have, because we haven't had enough to see him on the field yet.
Yeah, really just basically losing half of each of the last couple of seasons with an assortment of injuries. But when he's been out there, shown that he can be productive. Last year, though, was a struggle in Indy. But yeah, gets those reps at AAA. And look, if he hits the cover off the ball down there, the Pirates are going to find a way to get him in the lineup. I mean, that's the case for anybody. And he's just 22 years old. So I think, and you look at all the different outfits that monitor prospects throughout baseball, and he's still very much on their radar. And that kind of underlines the fact that, his future is still very, very bright. And we've seen, especially last year, the unexpected sometimes occur. Just because you got 3 starting outfielders right now doesn't mean today, tomorrow, next week, next month that they're all healthy and available. Or sometimes you see underperformance too. So you need to have depth, and I think Neil Huntington has stressed that Pirates feel like they're deeper. They've got more options. And quite frankly, they ran out of outfielders last year, and it showed. So this year, that's not going to be a problem. '75th pitch of the day from Dylan Bundy. It's his second out in the 5th. Let's take a look at our Bob's Discount Furniture defensive play of the game. We just saw it. It was a beauty.
Yep, nice reaction. I was wondering if he was going to go to first base because he had a mile and a half. If he turns around and looks at second base, they get it because it was quick enough to get over to first base. So great reactions and really a sigh of relief for everybody for the Pirates to get that double play. The guy from second was almost a third. So I said second, but still worked at first base.
Yeah, Presley doubled off.
Quick reaction.
Nice play by Yudi Garcia to get out of a jam.
And here's a starter here on what is it, the 12th, going into the 5th inning for the Orioles, Dylan Bundy.
And trying to complete it.
Well on his way.
Pirates got a run in the 1st inning on a 2-out little pop that fell out of the glove of Valencia by Gregory Polanco. Gave the Pirates an early lead, but the Orioles with 6 since have the advantage. Both teams with 6 hits. One of those belongs to Dickerson, who singled his last time. Now watching him in batting practice today and talking with some of the Pirates brass about him, confirming what we were seeing there. But nice, right now at least, a really nice short stroke, really quick and through the ball. And he's not a big towering man. He's certainly not small by any means, but he just has a lot of power and quickly strokes that one out to right. Tried for 2, and Dickerson has a double.
And hooked it over toward the right field line away from the right fielder, which gives him a little maybe extra time because it's a more difficult throw. He had to go and find the ball. Plus the fact, as he's going to first base, he's got to look at exactly what's going on. So he hooks it there. You see the right fielder has a good ways to go. He's got to set himself. So really a pretty good risk. why not? 2 outs, you know, get yourself in a scoring position, maybe get a cheap run.
And this is the time to do it too, right? See if you're capable.
Yep.
If it's a tweener, okay.
He got around there pretty quickly. He wasn't absolutely slow.
No, he's not a plotter. Not going to see Dickerson stealing a bunch of bases or anything like that, but certainly not slow by any means. About an average runner. And Andrew Susak got hit with this foul ball off the mask.
Yep. Right cross haymaker right to the mask, and Paul Emmel gives him a little extra time, goes out and talks to the pitcher about absolutely nothing.
.80 pitches for Dylan Bundy today. Marte behind, 2 strikes. He's 0 for 2 today.
Knowing Buck Showalter, if he doesn't get Marte, you might see a brisk walk out to the mound, because when Buck sees enough, he sees enough, and it's over. By the way, just what we have a moment too, we were talking about the amenities in this ballpark, and Jeff Podobnik and his staff have done a tremendous job, and Jeff has done that before. But I had some friends from Connecticut, a gentleman who's in a wheelchair, and one of the people on Jeff's staff, Joe Maciso, couldn't have been nicer to help us out and get everybody squared away. So tip of the cap to Joe Maciso, a young intern from Burke, Virginia, and Jeff Podobnik for helping and doing those kind of things for Pirate fans. Thanks a lot. That was pretty neat.
Not surprised to hear that.
No.
The whole gang here very, very accommodating to all our guests. Bundy not as accommodating, though, to Starling Martes. Struck him out a pair of times today. Through 5 innings from beautiful Bradenton, 6-1 O's.
On AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by Allegheny Health Network, official medical provider of the Pittsburgh Pirates and fans like you. And by Levin's, the official furniture and mattress supplier to the Pittsburgh Pirates. For the best quality, service, and value, shop Levin's. Let's go Bucks!
6-1, the Baltimores have the advantage as we begin the 6th. There's the boardwalk here at Lecom Park. You can walk all the way around here. Take in all the sights. Great food. Great smells here as well. And hopefully some great pitching the rest of the way. Pirates need it.
And we'll look to see Kyle Crick on the mound. Coming over from the Giants.
Andrew Susak, who came up in the minor leagues with Crick. They were battery mates many a time. I'm sure enjoying this meeting.
Get him out there, get him comfortable with Cervelli, let Cervelli get to know a little bit more about him as we go along. I've seen a lot of Francisco Cervelli in the games that we've done. I don't know if he's had the other games off or not, but
starting to ramp up his play now. This is just his 7th game that he's played back-to-back affairs now. He's starting to, you know, more and more of the regulars after a few more cuts today. And when spring training starts, you'd almost never see an expected regular player even play in back-to-back games. Now more commonplace.
The shortstop, number 3, Luis Sardinas.
Friday Night Rocks, presented by Iron City, returning this summer, and you can be a part of it. Come to the stage at Karma on the South Side Thursday, March 15th for a free show and music video shoot with the featured band Spinning Jenny. And showtime 7 o'clock. Come on out. Quickly, 2 outs for Kyle Crick.
30 appearance out of the Giants bullpen last year. He's a high draft pick back in 2011. The Giants, one of those supplemental picks that they is that the sandwich in between the first and second round?
That sounds good to me.
Okay, we'll run with it.
Roast beef.
Yeah. Rye.
A little horseradish, please. Thank you. What? Oh, I thought you're... Steve won't be with us next half inning. He's going to run down to the concession stand.
One of those sandwich picks.
Austin Hayes. There's the bender from Crick.
I haven't seen Crick work, but I like that curveball.
And that is something, you know, that...
Heard Ray talking about the curveball.
Yeah. Now, Crick calls that a slider, and but it's got that kind of curving,
that bend, that hump.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll put a crick in your back if you're a hitter trying to hit it.
I mean, that's a much slower pitch than the fastball too.
Yeah.
So you get some separation.
The definition is so hazy between curveball and slider, and cut fastball and cutter, slider, breaking ball. It's all whatever the pitcher wants it to be, really, in terms of how he calls it. But right now, doing very nice work.
And a tidy 1-2-3 inning. And the O's gone in order against Kyle Crick.
TNT Sportsnet is brought to you by Barrel Automotive. we'll beat anybody's price. Find out more at barrel.com. And by UPMC, making life-changing medicine happen. Let's go Bucks!
6-1 Baltimore here from Bradenton. Glad you're with us. Spring training baseball here, and a little breezy. Yeah, we've already, our blood's thinned out down here already, hasn't it?
Yes, it has, absolutely. By the way, spotting a celebrity. Doc Emmerich, Mike Emmerich, on the property this morning before the ball game. Had a chance to talk to Mike.
We'll have him on the 17th here on the broadcast.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Maybe Doc will bring us a little luck on St. Patrick's Day.
By the way, we have a moment. We have moment number 2. Hello to Patty Takis up in Elwood City. Her daughter or granddaughter, I'm not sure which, helped me out a good bit with some packaging and mail work today, sending some stuff back up to Pittsburgh. So Patty Takis catches every Pirate game on television. Every game. So Patty, hope you're enjoying this one.
Now featuring Brad Brock and Polanco with a base hit. Rickard trying to limit him to 1, and he's in at second. 2 base hit for Polanco to lead off the 6th.
Those long strides eating up the real estate from first to second.
Two-hit day for Gregory Polanco.
You know, sometimes you think you can beat it by taking that extra base. Sometimes you just say, all right, I'm gonna hedge I'm just gonna bank on him not making a good throw. And that looked like it was a legitimate opportunity for the throw to come into second, but maybe he's just betting on the fact it was going to be right on target, and it wasn't, so it became comfortable getting into second base.
Yeah, Rickard has to slow down, plant, gather, and throw. Christopher Bostic in to run for Polanco, reaching that phase of the game. Dylan Bundy went 5 for the O's. Scattered 7 hits, gave up a run, no walks. David Freese 0 for 2, reached on an error. Brock's going to be the closer of the outset for Baltimore this year, with Zach Britton still on the DL. Trying to get some work against the Pirates' top bats before the reserves come in. He strikes out Freese. Tied him up.
Tied him up with that high inside fastball. If it doesn't work out for Brad, he can always go back to the family candy business.
Polanco, a 2-hit day. He's through. Bostic will take over as the DH. Colin Moran, base hit his first trip, 1 out of 2 today. That was a good test too, to see the Pirate hitters against one of the better relievers in Brock, who filled in very nicely once Britton succumbed to injury last year. Hitters count for Moran.
Guess fastball.
Now 3-0.
Now, if it was a fastball, it didn't have much on it. So that goes back to one of the first things you learn as a professional pitcher, that change-up, off-speed pitch with a 2-0 count is something you like to have in your back pocket, because all these hitters love to think fastball when they're heading the count 2-0.
And a base hit to right. Bostic being waved home. Rickard's throw way offline. And Moran back in with his RBI single.
His second hit. Nicely done. Pulled it sharply through the hole between first and second.
Number 79, Jackson Williams.
Two out of three for Moran today.
Just a miserable throw from right field. Almost caught Moran taking too big a turn, but scampers back.
He's aboard with one out. Pirates pulled it within 6-2. And Polanco with a two-hit today. Moran, also Francisco Cervelli, who is being pinch hit for now by Jackson Williams. Veteran catcher. Re-signed with the Pirates as a minor league free agent. Split time between Altoona and Indy last year. Very good defensively. Really good guy to have in the organization. That's a nice souvenir. I'm going to have some extra catchers in camp, right? To work with all the pitchers.
And there are always a lot of pitchers in camp. I mean, a cast of thousands.
That's a fair ball.
You can run for a while, too, with the left fielder playing way over into left center field. Pirates going to add another run right here. And they catch the Orioles playing him not to pull the ball, and that's exactly what he did.
Jackson Williams with an RBI double, 6-3 now. And Presley had to find some buried treasure out there in the corner. In the right spot.
Well, keep the ball rolling.
It was. That's why Williams is at second.
Keep the scoreboard rolling.
And Sean Rodriguez out to scope. That is the second out. Williams at third. And a look at our Day Automotive. Great day from last season, July 9th. Sure was a good one. The Pirates putting up 10 runs in the first inning, highlighted by Francisco Cervelli's grand slam. John Lester got just 2 outs. Pirates beat the Cubs 14-3 in the last game before the All-Star break. Cervelli, the first ever Pirate in the first, second, or third spot in the order to hit a grand slam. I think he was the 2-hitter that day. He came up for a second time in the inning and hit the grand slam. You don't see a number 2 hitter hit a grand slam in the first inning very often.
No, no, you don't. Yeah, that's not even the new math, and I understand how that cannot work.
First one for the Pirates to do that in the first inning.
Didn't somebody wind up making an emergency start on the mound, and the beneficiary of that?
Chad Kuhl, I believe.
Stepped in for somebody.
Gave 3 innings that day. Tyone had to be scratched.
Yes, that was it, yeah. I remember sitting watching that. I said, boy, I wish I could have stepped in and made an emergency start for somebody. That's great.
That was a fun one. Yeah. Strike 3 call. Mercer has fanned 3 times today, but the Pirates pick up a pair in the 6th. 6-3 Oriole advantage, and we'll go back to our North Shore studios for this UPMC spring break. Rob King, Michael McHenry.
Joe and Steve talking one more time again about the roster moves the Pirates made, getting some guys out. We talked a little bit about Clay Holmes on the pitching side, also Magnifico, who has maybe the greatest name among all the Pirates guys. We also talked about position players with Austin Meadows But we also wanted to mention a couple of guys the Pirates got in trades last year, Jason Martin and Brian Reynolds. Over the course of the winter, Martin coming over in the trade for Cole, Brian Reynolds in the trade from San Francisco. Jonathan Mayo of MLBpipeline.com has Reynolds ranked the 6th overall Pirates. He had Jason Martin in his top 30 as well. So, look, we'll see how they unfold. And Jonathan Mayo will be joining us all year long. So we'll be talking about the minor leagues. What I'm curious about asking you is, what is it like for these guys to grow up in one organization, Michael, then walk into a clubhouse and not know anybody?
You know, you get to know guys pretty fast. I mean, you're literally in the clubhouse. You have to meet 60 guys real fast in big league camp. So getting to know people isn't that big of a deal. It's getting adjusted to the organization. What's their plan? What are they trying to do? And being able to just trust what they have in store for you and trust the ability that, hey, these coaches have my best outlook. I'm going to figure out how they tick. Vice versa, I need them to figure out how I tick. And you have to learn that whole organization in a very short period of time. So them going to big league camp is a learning experience. Now it's time for them to go get ready for season and try to have big years. And hopefully the Pirates get a great return from them.
And look, they go down, they're going to get more at-bats. Now they're going to meet their teammates that they're going to be playing with and their coaches, their immediate coaches for their respective teams, depending upon where they wind up. How important is that to get acclimated in that atmosphere before you go out and play a full season?
Being familiar with their coaches is huge. You know, getting in the cage with your hitting coach that you're going to have in AA or AAA, and some of these guys, maybe even high A, is so important so they understand your swing. They may have been in big league camp early, some of these coaches, but later on they're not really in camp and you're not having the chance to really work with them. You get the chance to be around some big names like Polanco and Marte and Dickerson, and vice versa with the pitchers. They got Tyon, those guys they're learning from, but who they need to really be around is organizational coaches, in the sense of the pitching coaches, the field coordinators, the catching coordinators. Everybody they need to be around is on the other side at Pirate City.
All right, and the guys, a couple guys we're very familiar with and very comfortable with, Mr. Block and Mr. Blass are back at Lecom Park in Bradenton as we get ready for the 7th inning, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Robin. And Michael, you know, is it just as important not only for the players that are coming to a new team or a new organization, but the people in that new organization making those guys feel welcome?
Absolutely. I got traded 4 or 5 times, and going into an organization that's very welcoming and welcomes you is a lot different than when you walk in somewhere and you kind of feel like a burden, or you feel like that black cloud over you like you're a cartoon. So walking in and being welcomed by the coaching staff, the GM, whoever it may be, is huge. Just like you were talking about Ray Searage earlier, he's a guy that's smiling, he's always being positive. That feel when you walk into the clubhouse is ginormous.
I like that word.
Thank you.
Uh-oh. Yeah, Marte losing that one, and then Harrison loses the ball on a hop. Had a chance maybe at getting Rasmus even after that ball dropped.
Well,
they don't have that second deck here in these Florida ballparks.
Well, you know, get this stuff out of your system, because we've seen Starling, quite honestly, get careless at times, and you want to leave all that stuff here in Florida. Get that out of your system, because he could have made a catch earlier on a much tougher play. And sun's a factor, but you know, it's part of the deal too.
That's an error. There's no doubt. It ruled as such, but that's one of the challenges of playing the outfield in Florida: the breeze, the sun, but also, you know, there's no dark background in that second deck. And sometimes third and fourth decks in the big league ballparks. There's the boardwalk. That's a nice deck.
That's the best deck in the ballpark right there. That's any ballpark.
Nice Hannes Wagner shirt too.
There's your sky. It's a pale sky. It's not that you don't have this contrast, but it's part of the deal. It's no excuse, but it's there. You got to deal with it.
So Santander at second on the error. Josh Smoker bidding to make the club as a lefty. There's Santander, Rule 5 pick from last year, in fact, still yet to fulfill his obligation.
Should there be anybody that has a better fastball than a guy named Smoker?
His is pretty good. Throws it hard.
4 innings so far. He got touched up in his first outing, but good work in his 3 outings since then. Poor Josh. Great name.
You a fan of Josh?
No, Smoker.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, for a pitcher, right?
Oh, yeah. 92 miles an hour. You got to pick it up for me a little bit, Josh.
He's usually clocked in the mid-90s.
Smoking fastball.
Just rears back and fires.
Got a smoking hot beard.
There's Bob Walk.
Yeah, that's a great pitcher's name, isn't it, Bob Walk?
Bob, yes.
Yep.
Well, these two actually have something in common, Smoker and Walk. Bob was always talking about throwing the ball down the middle and trying to avoid walks, and Josh Smoker kind of did that. That was a big part of his success in the second half last season. Robbie's got more on some of the things that Smoker likes to do.
Yeah, so you guys mentioned Smoke a second ago, and he and George Contos went to the Firestone Grand Prix race in St. Petersburg. That was a season opening race for the IndyCar Series. And get this, guys, Josh Smoker is a huge racing fan. And it actually would have been his profession had he not gone into baseball. And how about this photo? That's his father, Mike, who's a race car engineer, got his son into it at a very young age. Josh is about 7 years of age at this one, driving a little sprint car and his father pushing him around. And here's a pretty funny story from yesterday. They had seats at the start-finish line, but they wanted to get to the last turn as the race was finishing. So the two of them got held up, and they actually missed the finish of the race. They did get some pretty cool videos of the cars up close and personal after it was all over. But how about Josh Smoker talking his fellow teammate into watching an IndyCar race with a little bit of idle time down here in spring training, guys?
Yep. Yeah. Hey, lots to do around this coast of Florida. So the Pirates were beating the Blue Jays. They're up there watching the race, and Tiger Woods in the neighborhood up in Tampa, almost pulling off something pretty sensational.
Yeah, that captivated a lot of the
up at Innisbrook.
Pirate fans.
A lot of things going on.
So that's Santander at second, and then we saw Charlon Scope, the little brother of Jonathan Scope. So brother runs for brother. Pretty fun.
I'm sure Josh Smoker and Bob Walken getting a good conversation about racing. That's for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. Now Smoker experienced on dirt, and Bob on the track. But those two have that in common as well. Slowly to develop, but Alvarez does not run well. He grounds into 2.
That helps.
Pitcher's best friend, Santander to third, but now with 2 away.
Didn't know if they're going to have time to get this one, but maybe get a call at first base, maybe not, but they did get the call.
All right, Harrison has to wait on it with the runner right there. And still able to turn it. Now Valencia. But Josh Smoker, with the Mets last year, and his chances of making the club just ticked up a little bit with Jack Leathersich sent down today. Now the Pirates, by signing Kevin Segras, kind of signaled that they probably would like to have another lefty, along with Felipe Rivero, of course, if somebody shows that they're worthy of bringing north. And despite the first 2 men getting on, Smoker gets out of it, puts up a 0. No runs and no hits, 1 left. Time to stretch here in Bradenton, and a couple of men at the desk. Rob King, Michael McHenry with our UPMC spring break.
Hey, we moved. We wanted to stretch too, so we're standing up here back in Pittsburgh. And, Michael, look, we've seen some substitutions taking place right now. Some guys are getting chances to get in the ball game. But one of the things that I like about the Pirates is when they have a chance this year to give a guy a day off. Last year, depth was a serious issue. This year, David Freese should be moved to a bench role. That was originally why he was signed. You have Sean Rodriguez, you have Frazier, you have Diaz behind the plate. We don't know who the fifth guy is going to be off the bench, but suddenly now you have better depth. That should help the team immeasurably, shouldn't it, this year?
Absolutely. The first thing I look at is you think about the LA Dodgers last year. Corey Bellinger fills in for Gonzalez in that huge playoff run. He had a huge year, ended up winning the Rookie of the Year. The Pirates have that type of depth. They have some guys that can honestly put up huge numbers and fill in a pinch. So now you're not focused on a guy's first chance in the big leagues. He's off the bench. He's going to get up and probably get a chance to play. You're going to have a lot of fill-in players that have a lot of experience, at the same time a lot of talent.
And then one of the other things that's happening is some of the guys who were forced into action last year, probably prematurely. The Pirates didn't want to get maybe some of these guys up here, but now being pushed down to AAA, probably guys like Osuna, Luplow, maybe a Max Moroff. There are other young guys coming up, but even at the beginning of the season, if you get an injury at the major league level or need to make a trade or what have you, you do have guys at the minor league level who also have major league experience and guys you're probably going to have to count on at some point this year.
Absolutely, and they're also getting a chance to refine their skills. They're in there every single day playing. You got Osuna playing third base, Moroff playing shortstop. These guys are getting a chance to play every single day instead of being on the bench, getting occasional at-bats, pinch hitting against some of the toughest guys in the league late in the game. That's really, really hard. So now they have the opportunity to go down, work on everything they need to work on, get back up in the game in the big leagues and actually play, or maybe they just get better because they're having the opportunity in the minor leagues to get at bats, so they're fresh, their rhythm's good, their timing's good, and they walk off the bench and get some big knocks for us as the season goes.
And we're seeing some of those young guys get some defensive versatility, which is what helped Josh Harrison break into the major leagues, and he's getting set to dig into the park and dig into the batter's box as we head back to Lecom Park.
Yeah, load up that AAA team because you're going to need people. You never go through a season with 25 of the guys you start with. Load them up.
Yeah, the Pirates have benefited by some lack of injury last year, especially in the starting rotation. And Harrison with a base hit.
Off Mike Wright Jr., new pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles, coming in here to work in the bottom of the seventh.
Two-hit day for J-Hay. Brief action last year.
Pirates loading up the base hits. They're within 3 of the Orioles.
Out hitting the Orioles 11-6 today.
One of those 2-hit guys coming up.
Corey Dickerson will get a 4th at bat. Kevin Kramer over to run for Harrison, so the Pirates change is about to begin. Orioles have swapped out their bunch for the most part.
Well, Joe, you're right about one thing. It cleared up. We had rain and we had overcast, and now the skies are blue. Just ask Starling Marte how nice it is out in the outfield right now.
I asked John Wayner for a weather report. He always
perfectly clear.
Always gives me the details. A resident weather expert here in the booth. Not here today, though. We're watching, I'm sure. Boy, it is every cloud has evaporated.
Yeah, he's probably watching the Weather Channel to get his reports.
Got it on picture-in-picture, right? Dickerson with a single in the 3rd, doubled in the 5th. Both balls hit out to right. Now to try to hit one off right.
To right. Over the right field.
Sure.
Be the right thing to do.
All right.
Well, how many well, we have a moment. Have I used up.
This is number 3 for you.
Okay.
You still got a few.
Folks from back home in Connecticut at the ballpark. Don Carberry and his daughter Donna, who graduated of Housatonic Valley Regional High School. Thank you very much. Class of 1970. And coming up from down in the Nokomis area to watch a Pirate game. From my wife Karen's hometown of Sharon, Connecticut. Glad to have him here.
Absolutely. Great place to be.
Yes. Especially at this time of day now. It's gotten really nice.
Yeah, with the time change, it's still very bright and sunny.
Yeah, take care of all the clocks in your place. Yesterday, last night, over the weekend.
Two and 2 on Dickerson. Out to center, Mullins. Able to find that one. Kramer retreats. 1 away in the Pirates' 7th inning, trailing 6-3. And of course, all spring training long, you can catch it all on MLB.tv. Watch select games live on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply for the regular season games. Visit MLB.tv for details. Starling Marte hitless in 3 trips today. He cracks this one out to left. Yastrzemski looking back, and it'll clang off the wall. And Kramer into third. That's an easy double for Starling Marte.
And many days that would have been out of here very, very quickly, but the wind knocking it down, he got a lot of that. I thought that was the redeemer he was looking for some of the stuff in center field. And it was good, almost. Marte looks, yeah. Oh, I got one. No, I don't got one.
Now that strong cross breeze out to right, that has knocked the balls down on either side today. So Marte gets a double and his day is done. Flags out and right, not showing it as much as in the center, but sure enough, Marte will take an extra base hit. Christopher Bostic will bat for the first time. There, that tells you a little bit better of the story. Been steady all day today. Todd Cunningham in to run for Marte. He's got good wheels too, so a base hit could play the pair and bring the Bucks within a run. Bostic, good year, 294 last year. There's Mr. Cunningham. Maybe happy days still ahead here for the Pirates. Kramer almost caught napping there.
I thought they had him.
So did Susak.
Ooh. Very. Still think they might have him.
Yeah, just got those fingernails in. Bostic wearing number 44. He chose that number in the offseason because he was selected in the 44th round of the draft. You can't even be chosen in that round anymore. It's limited to 40. Just a little way to remind himself how far he's come to make it to the major leagues. First stint in the bigs last year. Had a chance with 2 men on in scoring position. And he's worked the count full.
Lays off that good-looking slider. Mike Wright.
A Pirate in college.
Let's see, would that be East Carolina?
Yes, very good. Or if you can't join him, beat him.
Yeah, that was a real good slider there.
And he strikes out Bostic for out number 2.
Let's take a look. That's a good looking pitch. That's a perfecta. Pitchers want to get that call, and quite honest, they deserve that call.
Jose Osuna will bat for the first time. Two-out chance with the Pirates down 3. Jose had that tremendous spring training last year. Ended up getting sent down at the end of spring, but called up in mid-April and stayed with the club the rest of the year. And as Michael was telling us a little bit earlier, you know, the Pirates bench, in Osuna's case, you know, a rookie used as a pinch hitter, that was a difficulty, as it is for just about any rookie. That is a tough spot to be in.
Anybody to pinch hit, it's not easy. You get one shot, one at bat.
Osuna last year was 6'4", 50 as a pinch hitter. But when he, a lot of times you'd see him start against lefties. He had 300 against lefty starters. That was probably his best role. But of course, Pirates have guys, at first base, his natural position. Josh Bell played just about every day. He's learning third base this year. While he's shown some good actions there at third, he is also still learning some of the nuances of the position. And we saw him in the outfield last year, and of course, any ball that he could get to, he handled, but did not show the range that you'd expect, especially in an expansive left field.
Kind of interesting spring training last year. He had a great spring. Josh Bell did not have a great spring, especially early, and they went in different directions.
Had a very good winter league at the plate. And played a lot at third base for Los Bravos. And Margarita.
That was the pitch he was looking for. Good hitters count, 3-1. Got a pitch, didn't quite get to it.
Three balls, 2 strikes. On the in-between hop, Dosh can't get it. And 2 Pirates are going to score, and it's a 1-run ball game.
Yep. In between hops, the Pirates pick up a couple. Now the ball game is on. You know, you mentioned before, and there goes Yastrzemski back to the wall and left. Yeah. That is a magical name.
That was a monster right there for Dosh.
Yeah.
That's going to go as a 2-run single for Osuna.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So that's still Yaz Jr. out there. That's quite a name to live up to, isn't it? Coming into professional baseball.
Yeah, Mike Yastrzemski, who is the left fielder for the Orioles right now, the grandson of the Hall of Famer Carl Yastrzemski.
I lost track of the years there for a minute.
Well, understandable. No, I asked the same question. I said, son or grandson? That is the grandson, Mike, of the longtime Red Sox left fielder. Played his whole career in Boston. Gosh, he must have played, I'd say 24 seasons, 23, 24 seasons.
Played it well. I think Colin would like to have that pitch back. It was a ball he felt like he could jump at. You can watch a little body language after hitters miss the pitch that they get and they want.
And no play. He might have cracked Moran's bat.
Lecom Park, former McKechnie Field. Quite a history in this building. And the Pirates have upgraded it in every possible aspect. What a setting.
Yeah, they've been playing baseball here, the corner of 9th Street and 17th Avenue for 95 years.
Never had those palm trees on the property, but they do now, and they just enhance the whole thing. It's a great treat to come up from Fort Myers, where we used to train. Just being up in this neighborhood, not having to get on Route 41 every time you had to go somewhere.
What was that old Terry Park?
Terry Park, yep. And wasn't much like this facility.
It's still standing down there, but they don't play spring training baseball there.
I think they turned it at one time into a tennis complex. But, we had a little shed where after you worked out, you'd go in there and you'd get some watered down chicken noodle soup, a hard-boiled egg, and some orange juice.
50th season here in Bradenton now, and there are a number of different displays here that help commemorate all the baseball that has been played here at 9th and 17th. 50 years.
50 years.
I mean, you hear all these teams move around. It seems like every 5-10 years they got a new spring training home. Pirates have settled right in here, and it is a great home. A lot of Pirate fans, players, front office people, they have made a winter home here.
And a lot of them have made year-round homes. Former Pirate players like Milton May and Bruce Keeson, Donnie Robinson, Gene Clines, Mike LaValliere, Jimmy Morrison, our old trainer Tony Barterone. Tony, thinking about you. Tony a little bit under the weather.
Moran to center, but easy play for Mullins. The inning ends. Pirates played a pair to pull within one thanks to Osuna's 2-out, 2-run single, and on the banks of the Manatee River. We remember all the greats that played here, including Steve Blass.
I made the light post.
Let's go back to our UPMC spring break and North Shore Studios with Rob and Michael.
That is tremendous. I didn't see that when I was down. I was down there a couple weeks ago. I never saw the Steve Blass banner. That's very cool. Well, here's a flag that Steve is waving that I'm sure Michael agrees with, not liking this new rule that comes. I mean, I think there's too many ways for you to explain them all as to what you don't like about the mound visits being limited to 6 this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks for me. The first one is you got to look at how the game's changed in the sense of stealing pitches. They have those cameras in center field. They're looking in constantly. We would use 2-3 different sets throughout the game. We'd use 2 or 3 different sign sets with nobody on base. Now you're not going to have the opportunity to run out to that pitcher and say, hey, we're going to change it up. You're going to have verbals. You're going to have cues, maybe even like a tap sign to let him know, hey, we're going to change this pitch. And if he doesn't get it right, well, you just better watch out because the umpire's going to get hit in the face. The catchers are going to get hurt. There's just a lot of question marks there. These kids are going to have to start learning how to do this early on in the minor leagues to figure it out.
And there was another point you brought up. We were talking about this before the show today. I thought it was a great point. I have to admit it. It never occurred to me at all. By the way, the sign stealing hadn't occurred to me either. But the notion of it's kind of an old school thing, right? When a catcher gets hit in an uncomfortable spot, maybe the umpire will buy him a little bit of time, go out and sweep off home plate. Hey, are you okay? Okay. And then the catchers do the same thing for the umpires, right? Except if you try to do it now and go out to the mound to buy him some time, you're charged a mound visit.
Right. You're literally getting in trouble for making sure your counterpart behind the plate is okay off a foul tip. You want to get out to the mound. You're taught as a little boy, he gets hit the foul tip, run out there, give him a little time to get his head right and feel all right. Now you have to get a request from him. He has to say yes for you to run out. When he's agony, in pain, whatever it is, it's terrible. I hate that rule. The old school mentality of being the right, having that right mindset and taking care of everybody on the field as a catcher is kind of losing its value, and I hate it. And something else that everybody needs to look at is Colorado is going to get an advantage to this. I played there for 2 years. You can't breathe as a visiting player and a home player. You get used to a little bit, but they're not going to have time on when a ball gets hit to the right side, lefty goes over, that pitcher goes over. You can't give that guy time anymore, so he's not going to be able to breathe.
Yep, good points, I think, guys. There's some things I hadn't thought of as we head back to Joe and Steve.
Yeah, there's all kind of things going on you got to be aware of, and it's a little crazy. And just to address your point, Mike, we would have liked to change signs for our pitchers, but we couldn't keep up with that. One's a curve, one's a fastball, two's a curve. We weren't bright enough as a staff, but it can become sophisticated. Sometimes you read too much into it, but sometimes you have to adjust. You have to keep everybody honest. And by the way, Rob King, I did send you a text that my picture was going to be up on that light pole, and you never responded. So, okay.
Got to look up. That's some of the best things.
Yeah. Instead of waking up under a light pole.
Yeah.
That's
trying to prevent that, yes. Jordan Milbrath on. Rule 5 pick.
Yep, got him from Cleveland.
Cedric Mullins out to left, and Bryce Brent's chasing this one down. Mullins can run well, and he's heading for 3. And a belly flop triple to start the 8th. And let's go down to Robbie. He's got Jordy Mercer.
Yeah, I do have Jordy Mercer here. And your former teammate, Michael McHenry, in his debut season here at AT&T Sportsnet, if I would have said to you 5 years ago, hey, Michael McHenry's going to end up in the world of TV, what would you have said?
I can see it, yeah. It's pretty good. Got a lot of insight being a catcher. Kind of knows the situation, knows the game. Catchers tend to do that. And so I feel like he'd be great for the job.
And he's doing a great job so far. So let's talk about you. Your infield partner, Josh Harrison, two of you go back. Since you were in the minor leagues, you slept on his pull-out couch when, or he slept on your pull-out couch when he first got traded from the Cubs. How much fun do you have playing with him?
I mean, it's a lot of fun. You just never know what's going to happen each and every day, especially with his athleticism and what he can do on the field. And he makes things happen. He brings a lot of energy, and guys feed off of it. So it's been fun to last. God, it's been like what, 6-7 years now. It seems like we've been playing together, and maybe more than that, 8 years. It's just it's been a blast to have people in the first to actually know him when he came over, and like you said, he slept on my couch, and then we just kind of hit it off from there, and we've been really good friends ever since.
How about when you look at the addition of Corey Dickerson, kind of a transformation of sorts for this roster? How does a culture evolve, in a sense, within the clubhouse as players change?
Well, I mean, when we had this culture already that we've had for the past years to come, or years, with this group of core guys that we have, and now we got a bunch of younger kids coming in, and they see what's going on. And it's the same thing with Corey. When we get a new guy that comes in, they kind of see what's going on. They take a step back. They don't jump in right away. Obviously, they just want to survey it, and he's bought in and he's jumped in. He fits right in with us. He's not a much of a talker. He just goes about his business and does the right thing, and that's kind of the way that we approach it too as well.
How about when you look at Colin Moran, perhaps the starting third baseman on opening day in Detroit on the 29th? How has he adjusted, and what do you do in terms of working with him as infielders?
I think just the biggest thing is the shift parts. I think that's the biggest thing is having a new guy over there. Being not familiar with him as much. This is that was my fourth time, I think, to play with him this year. And so it's just being familiar with the shifts, trying to figure out what he likes to do, how far does he want to come over, things like that, and just playing with him. That's all it is. It's probably about his spring training is more about reps than anything, more about getting games under your belt, getting conditioning, things like that, just to get you ready for opening day.
All right, Joe Block and Steve Blasser in the booth. You got anything for those guys?
Keep up the good work. I know Blast is up there probably making everybody laugh, so enjoying this weather too, of course, right? That's what he does. Anyway, yeah, keep up the good work. It's good to see everybody here. I'm glad we're back on TV for the fans at home. We're getting ready. We're getting prepared.
You guys got anything back for Jordy?
Yeah, Jordy, always good to see you, man. And it's always fun watching an infielder where the busy business is adapting and working with a new guy. So I'm sure it's going to be a good feel the more you play with Colin over there and get the feel of how he's going to work.
Yeah. So to paraphrase what Steve said, it's good to see you back, and he's excited to see you playing with Colin this season. You went the serious route.
That's it.
Speechless.
Thanks,
Speechless.
He said speechless.
Yeah, the one time, I didn't expect that from you, Steve.
Hey. You got to do what you got to do. It's a tight ball game. This is serious business.
Ray Searage out for a mound chat here with the bases full of birds. I saw Jordy when they were coming in for the second batting practice group today. He had his arm around Colin Moran and was talking with him, and he's really taken to him and Moroff and all the guys that are playing in the infield and talking with those guys like Clint Barmas did for him when Jordy came up. Very much the same thing.
And that's why we're talking about it's just not the new guy adapting to the people he's going to be joining, but the people that are there and receiving him. You can make it very, very comfortable and a lot easier by approaching them and making them feel that, hey, you're welcome here. We're happy to have you here. And so it's not just one-sided. The new guy coming in. It's the old people that are there waiting for him. So I shouldn't say old. Jordy is a seasoned veteran.
Experienced.
Yeah.
So here, Jordan Milbrath trying to make the club as a Rule 5 pick. Has loaded the bases with no men out, but the Orioles have replaced all their starters with the exception of Susak, who was just hit with the pitch. This is Drew Dosh, 276. He in the minor leagues. Now Milbrath has worked himself into a position here that if he makes the club, is going to come into a lot because he's been a ground ball specialist since turning into a side armor. And he might inherit a situation like he has minted for himself here. So this is actually quite a test. Gets the ground ball, but it sneaks through. Mullins is in. Yastrzemski will stay at third. And Wynn's pinch running stays at second.
You talk about so many factors going into whether a guy's going to stay with a club when they break for the season. You talk about options. You talk about the Rule 5 scenario. You talk about injuries. You talk about righty-lefty. So a lot of things go into it. But Rule 5 player, that's a category unto itself.
And what that means is that if the Pirates want to keep his services, they got to bring him north with them and keep him on the roster for the year. So
you need to find out as much as you can in spring training. So spring training for a Rule 5 guy is critical.
Popped him up.
That's going to come down at some point.
And the infield fly is called as Newman hauls it in for the first out.
Newman.
That's a big first out. Now you hope you get another double play ball, but a powerful Rule 5 pick of his own, Anthony Santander. He was injured most of last season, so even though he was picked also from Cleveland before the previous season, he still hasn't fulfilled the 90 days on the active roster that he needs to have. So the Orioles have to start the year with him up for 44 more days, and then he'll finally be their property. Otherwise, they just have to turn him back over to Cleveland. He's been an Oriole for more than a year now. Kind of a goofy rule. Foul ball. And the precursor of that Rule 5 draft, it used to be called the rookie draft. And that's how the Pirates got Roberto Clemente.
Yep. One of the more prominent Rule 5 players.
Don't blink. Coming your way right there. Bring your glove.
With a little help from a Pirate friend.
Yeah, get good seats like that, and
chance there you get a baseball. Yep.
That is a
baseball.
That's a beauty right there.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Game used and everything. It says spring training on it. You know the special baseballs.
That's why you bring your glove.
Now even up.
Well, you like to get that double play. Strikeout to work here. Birds flying all over the place, surrounded by Baltimore Orioles.
Made it back to a 2-run affair. Pirates took an early lead 1-0, fell behind 6-1, have rallied back. Now the Orioles have added a run. And it's 3-2 with the bases full of birds. Milbrath allowed a leadoff triple, a walk, a hit batter, and then a little ground base hit.
Yeah, and this is his program. Nobody working the Pirate bullpen, so they want to see how he deals with this whole thing he's gotten himself into.
And he's walked.
Not even close.
Well, I guess the scoreboard was wrong. Nope, that is ball 4. Just Santander's a little slow at it, so he's walked in a run. A little more suspense for us. I was going to say. So Jastrzemski is in.
And that's going to be it, I guess. Is somebody thrown down there that was already ready, just standing there? I couldn't tell.
I believe Tanner Anderson.
Okay, yeah.
He's been loosening. That's going to be it for Milbrath. Face 6 batters, retired 1, and the Orioles now lead by 3.
The mission of
and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Now the left field loonies making their way all the way down here in Bradenton. That's fun. This inning has not been for the Buccos, though. A couple of runs across for the Orioles. Still have the bases loaded.
Tanner Anderson out of Harvard. Drafted in the 20th round back in 2015. Good work for the Altoona Curve. 10-8, good ERA. On to clean up this mess.
Darlene Rodriguez.
It's the 80s and 90s version of spring training baseball. A lot of players coming in with those high numbers at this point in the game, top of the 8th.
I was going to say that could be a lot of fun. Some big hair and loud colors.
Yeah.
No name on the back for Anderson, not part of Pirate spring training camp, but
Harvard. He's out of Harvard. He's a smart guy.
Try to outsmart him here, right?
Yeah. He's 0-2. Outsmart him with something down and in. Ooh,
that'll work. There's out number 2 on the strikeout.
They said he did, so he did.
The second baseman, number 17, Ruben Tejada.
So 2 gone with the bases full. Anderson, part of that Eastern League champion Altoona Curve outfit last year. Gets to face an accomplished major leaguer here. Clint Hurdle asking him to pick up for Milbrath. Ruben Tejada. Had to catch Santander napping. 41 games with the Orioles for Tejada. And now 2 strikes. Now this is a good chance for Anderson to, you know, just a little something in the back of everybody's mind in case he's in camp next season. Yeah, we called on you and got us out of a pickle. He struck out Rodriguez. Now ahead of 0-2 on Tejada.
Good try. Hit the glove, or they had the glove. Didn't get Tejada to bite.
One and 2. And a swing at a foul ball. Trying to stay ahead of Tejada here. Now there's Bryce Brents.
Another person of interest. Now he's one of the guys that would fall into that category. I think he's out of options. Is that right? So that one of those factors we talk about along with the Rule 5 guys.
You can't just send him down to the minors if the Pirates don't elect to keep him. Have to at least expose him to all the other teams first. They get a chance to add him to their 40-man roster, and if they all pass, then you can send him down if you wish. There's Brents. Congratulations, he and his wife, on the birth of their first child, a daughter, just a couple of weeks ago.
And congratulations on one of the good-looking beards. Probably up in the top 5, maybe.
Softly hit. Newman gets the final out. Nice job. Tanner Anderson strands the bases loaded and makes it 8-5. Pair now up 8-5. Mr. Wright
looking for Mr. Wright.
All right. He came on last inning, gave up a couple of runs. Jackson Williams doubled in a run his first time around. Sometimes you need a break.
That's what you call Florida content.
I like the outfit.
A lot to like.
Now that's right behind the stands here. There's a concourse area where you can get something to eat or drink. Williams skies it out to left. Yastrzemski. And he retires it. So Williams to Yastrzemski. Well, that
Ted
place,
Williams to Carl Yastrzemski.
Right, yeah, that's been done before.
Passing on the baton.
We refer to Ted Williams and then Carl Yastrzemski, the left fielders in Boston for a good 4 decades.
Just got through reading a book called Game 6 with the Boston Red Sox and Yastrzemski and his pals with the Cincinnati Reds, one of the classic baseball games with the Carlton Fisk home run that he waved down the left field line. The Reds went on to win, but that was one of the classics. Great book written by Mark Frost if you're into World Series history. Great one to read.
That's fun.
And about Louis Tiant and his family and all the stuff about him coming over from Cuba and his family.
Very good pitcher.
Good reading. Yeah.
A little twist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right back out here.
That's Florida content.
Yeah, that's right back behind the
first base
seating
stands,
area today. Is that Cliff today running the camera out there? Yeah. Cliff's been down here for a little bit. Good to have him down, and everybody, all our folks who are working the cameras, folks in the truck, some of our staple crew that travels with us throughout the year, and some new folks that help us down in spring training. Glad to be back on TV with you for my first time.
Yeah, great TV meeting the other night. Yeah. After the first game, then we got together and had to figure out what we needed to do. So here we are, straighten things up.
Yeah, we kept it under control. It was a nice meeting. Wins staying in the game to catch. Well, they've had their fill.
I thought everybody during that TV meeting on their very best behavior.
I agree. Yeah, that's the concourse area back there. Luplo. And he's the second out here.
The shortstop, number 71, Kevin Newman.
Got a lot of folks come down here from Pittsburgh, including a good friend Tom Albanese, who is here today, former participant in Pirate Fantasy Camp. Down here with some buddies taking in the game today. Getting ready to watch Edgar Santana, who should pitch next. First look at Kevin Newman at the plate today. He took over for Mercer at short. Yeah, that's one of the fun things about spring training is we hear these names. And, you know, we don't get to see them, but for maybe 10, 15 at-bats in spring training. But maybe Newman will be up this year. You don't know. And when will he be a part of the Pirates' future? He's also been under the tutelage of Mercer, who is under contract for one more year with the Pirates. So Mike Wright sends him down in order. And we'll head back to our North Shore studios for this UPMC spring break with Rob King and Michael McHenry.
Joe and Steve, we're talking about relievers because, look, if I'm counting right, there might only be one spot left in the Pirates bullpen with a lot of young guys competing for him. We're going to see one of them, Edgar Santana, coming up. Neverauskas, not the strongest outing today. Kyle Crick, however, who the Pirates got back as part of the Andrew McCutchen trade. We talked about Brian Reynolds earlier. Wow, a really good 1-2-3 inning for him today.
Yeah, Crick was outstanding. I want to deem him the professor. I feel like he should have a whiteboard back there. Every time I've seen him pitch, he's been outstanding, kind of teaching everybody how to do it. So I think he's going to make a huge case for himself with these ground balls. You know, the Pirates are huge into getting quick outs, easy outs, being efficient. So I'm telling you right now, he's making a huge case to be in that bullpen with the ability to get that ground ball and induce that ground ball early.
One of the guys a little raw, Jordan Milbrath, who came over from Cleveland, Rule 5. So if they don't put him on the roster, they either have to trade for him or offer him back to the Cleveland Indians, which is what usually happens. One of the things you noticed was that a heavy sinker ball pitcher facing a lot of left-handers, that's not a good matchup for him.
Yeah, I think Hurdle and Ray Searage are trying to see what he can do. They put him in a situation he'd probably very rarely be in the season with all these lefties. It's really hard as a sinker baller to find that window to throw in when you don't have a right-handed hitter up. You know, they're trying to get down and in. They're trying to see that place where they can start that sinker. Jackson Williams was trying to scoot over and give him a little bit more room and a little bit more plate to play with, but his ball is just moving so much. I mean, you see how much ability he has because his ball is moving about this much. We just got to let it play out and trust that they're trying to see exactly what he can do in certain situations because he is a Rule 5 guy. If you say no, he's got to go back. You'd have to trade for him. So they want to see every situation they can with this guy.
And again, we talked about this, guys, as we head back to Bradenton. You know, look, we talked about the bench strength down at the AAA, guys you're going to have to call upon. There are going to be some really good relief arms that don't make the Pirates, but you know you're going to need them at some point throughout the course of the season. That, again, bodes well for, I think, the Pirates' organizational depth.
Oh, no doubt, guys. I think that's part of the reason why Neil Huntington elected to make the trades that he did, because thinking that if they can boost, especially in the bullpen, the different opportunities, because you're not going to just have 7 guys throughout the year.
The bullpen is probably one of the most vulnerable aspects of your baseball team. And there's a boot at second base here in the top of the ninth. Anyway, because you don't have a consistent situation with a rotation that goes 7 every night. It doesn't happen. So if you're really shaking your rotation, you're going to burn up a bullpen by the time you get to August. And the way they keep track of health and pitches and appearances and everything else they do, you're going to need arms in the bullpen. So that's why you want to stack up during the offseason. You'll get minor league free agents. So maybe you catch a guy at the right point in his career. You can never have enough bullpen arms at the AAA level. So we talk about loading up your AAA team. The bullpen is one aspect of that loading up that you want to have as many guys, preferably with major league experience, to come up to help you out, because you burn through bullpen guys. You really do.
Yeah, and I think you were talking about it earlier when we had Ray Searage on, you know, how important the 6th inning is. And you were talking about that. And you think about, you know, if the starters don't go deep into games, you're going to need to option guys up and down and you know, have some guys that give you some length and some different looks. And so you're going to need a rotation of maybe 11 different guys that you can trust throughout the year.
Good looking bunt. They're going to have to hurry. Santana, beautifully done, and a beautiful pick at first base. That was pretty. I didn't think they had a chance to get an out there because Santana kind of follows through a little bit toward the right of the mound toward first base, but he jumped on it. A nice pick by Osuna at first base. This is pretty. See, Santana has to stop his follow through, pick it up, and then talk about picking it up. They do at first base.
Had to hurry with Mullins there. A nice scoop by Osuna.
Yeah, just want to go back to, you know, the goal that Ray talks about is a real one, 7 innings. But they have to work a lot to get consistently into and past the 7th inning. The reality is that I still like the idea. Get as many 6-inning starts as you can, and then after that it's bonus stuff, it's good stuff. You want a lot of that, but if you can get a bunch of your guys to go 6 innings on a more regular basis, now you're trying to protect 2 innings to get to Rivero, and you don't eat up that bullpen as much.
Yeah, that's a key for any club, because starters have averaged 5.5 innings last year, but you know, Chad Kuhl about 5 innings to start. Williams was starting to show that he could go deeper in games, throws a few more strikes, walks a few fewer guys. Nova, of course, near the 200 innings mark last year, and Tyone can show that, you know, if he's healthy for a full year, that we would probably see him approach that maybe in a year or two, closer to 200 innings. He kind of has that makeup. Musgrove, we don't know what we're going to see just yet with that in terms of the length, but yeah, you're going to have you know, a dozen guys at least that, you know, can get outs. And like, for instance, Santana gained a lot of confidence last year. He walked a lot of guys at the big league level, did not do that at AAA or nor throughout his minor league career.
And keep in mind, too, not just the innings. We need Williams and Cool to be at least as good as they were last year, if not improve and take a step forward. Because you know what you got at the top, Tyone and Nova, and what they're capable of doing. So you feel good about that. But these guys had one solid year, and it was solid. They made a lot of progress last year. But you need them to be at least that good, if not better. You're able to hold that run for the time being.
Yeah, Kramer with the infield in gets the second out.
They can't stay. You don't want them to take a step backward, and you're hoping that they don't, and they're fully capable of taking a step forward. You need them to do that because that would be very disruptive to the rotation. The point I'm trying to make, they are as critical in terms of performance as Nova and Tyone, because you got to have.
Oh, no doubt.
You got to have somewhat of an intact rotation.
Yeah,
you really do.
You know, the Pirates believe that they have depth in the starting rotation, but they're unproven. You know, these other guys that are returning, they have proved themselves for long stretches. And look, you know, the Pirates, if they're going to be a playoff team, a lot of things have to go right, and one of those things that's really critical are those guys like Cool and Williams, who did have long strides where they were above average pitchers last year. They have to continue that, and if you see those guys check in with a 3.5 ERA this year, which would be a run better than average for a starting pitcher,
that's not only good performance, that's going to extend their outings.
Yeah, right, exactly right. If they're pitching well,
you cannot succeed with a 2 or 3 man rotation. Nice hop. Nice out.
And Wins is done. So the error doesn't cost the Buccos. They need 3 as we go to the bottom of the 9th. Continues on Wednesday here on AT&T Sportsnet when the Pirates host the Rays here at Lecom Park, and join us at 1 o'clock to watch the Bucs get ready for the regular season. It's now just 2.5 weeks away. March 29th will be the opener for all 30 teams. The Pirates will begin the championship season in Detroit. And here, needing 3 or more. Get 3, you get a point, right?
You get a point.
You get the tie. No shootout.
Big fat no.
Kevin Kramer starts things, having a nice spring at the plate. Mike Wright back out for his 3rd inning of relief. And what I like about Kramer this spring, every hit has been for extra bases. He's slugging 1,000. $5 for 14. And strike 3 call.
Left fielder, number 92.
1 out for right.
We're close to that. I think I heard there's going to be a return of Seinfeld. So we got Kramer, we got Newman, we got Costanza.
All we need is Andy Bennis.
Yeah.
Get him out of retirement.
Yeah.
And Jose Constanza, the former Brave.
Yeah.
Here's Bryce Brentz batting for the first time today. 31 homers last year in AAA Pawtucket.
Hey, far enough. I can swing it.
Now Brentz, who got off to kind of a rough start, was having trouble seeing the ball. The problem was he was shifted over from Red Sox camp to Pirate camp when he was traded right before his annual eye exam, and so just had to get fitted for new contact lenses. And now finally the last few days has been able to pick up spin. He joked today he hit a home run. You could see the ball, he just couldn't see the spin on the ball, and he hit a home run earlier this spring. So we joked with one another, see the ball, hit the ball. If you can't do the first, you can't do the second. So Brentz has swung the bat a lot better in the last few games.
Eyes are quite important in this game. Probably didn't get a good look at that curveball right there.
Wright has got off to a rocky start, gave up a couple of runs in the 7th. 2-run, 2-out single by Jose Osuna. Pirates also getting some offense today. Run-scoring hits by Moran and Jackson Williams, as well as Polanco, who had 2 hits today. 2 hits for Josh Harrison and for Corey Dickerson, as well as Francisco Cervelli, a pair of singles today. Brentz down on strikes for the 2nd out. Back-to-back strikeouts for Wright.
Center fielder, number 27, Todd Cunningham.
Pirates had an early advantage, but the Orioles, with that 5-run 4th inning, have pulled ahead.
Off day tomorrow for the guys, Joe, and we'll see Ivan Nova scheduled to work Wednesday afternoon.
Pirates opening day starter.
Yeah, against the Rays. So everybody will scatter tomorrow, enjoy the day with their families.
Rare a couple of off days throughout the spring, and then back in action with you, Todd Cunningham.
You working the game Wednesday?
I think so.
All right. Well, here we are again.
If not, I'll be out anyway.
Maybe they'll switch over and we can play the Orioles again. Change it. We've seen enough of the Orioles, to be quite honest.
You still haven't let it go. I mean, you beat them.
That's right.
I think they feel the other way about you. They don't want to keep seeing you up here all the time.
They had enough, and then they had enough again in 1979.
Still fun to, when you go to Ed Smith Stadium in Sarasota. They have a big display when you walk into the stadium, a huge ceiling, and they've got the banners from all the great pennants that they've won, and it says the 71 AL champs, the 79 AL champs.
I did take a Sharpie over there the other day.
Did you?
Wrote my name on the National American League champs. They got a big banner of 1966 when they swept the Dodgers. Some young pitchers. Speaking of champs, right there.
Bob Walk, Greg Brown, Cindy Boyden, the engineer, looking over their shoulders, making sure they're staying on target.
A nice pick there, and
Dosh.
Showtime.
Sends
Good night. Grandpa.
Wright gets a save. Steve comes up with a new catchphrase to end our broadcast. Hey, try them out in the spring. I like it, Steve. And we've also enjoyed having our UPMC spring break this year as well in the spring, debuting today with Rob King and Michael McHenry. So an 8-5 final. And let's check in with those gentlemen one more time.
Joe and Steve, we've had fun and we've enjoyed it. We'll be back on Friday to do this again as the Pirates get ready to take on the Atlanta Braves. And let's take a look at a couple of the nice things that happened in this game today in the 8-5 loss. Number one was Alex McRae. Wasn't supposed to pitch today. Tyler Glasnow comes down with flu-like symptoms. McRae jumps out there. a guy who will either start the season at AA or AAA, and really impressed with 3 strong innings.
Yeah, he was outstanding. He was using both sides of the plate. He has that sinker we talked earlier. And a lot of times with sinker ballers, they have a hard time because they don't have that window with that sinker. This guy had it today, and he used his backdoor cutter, backdoor slider a lot. Just there, like on Presley, and it was funny. Presley just texted me and said that pitch was nasty, and he was painting all day. So it just shows he's an established big league hitter that said that. This kid's got a lot of upside, and it's just proving more and more how much depth the Pirates really have.
You know, look, it's spring training. Certain guys are trying to impress. Alex McRae knows he's not going to make the team. He wants to put a thought maybe in the back of the mind of manager Clint Hurdle, general manager Neil Huntington, other young guys competing for jobs, other guys you know are going to make the team, are going to be a big part of what the Pirates are trying to accomplish this year. And it was good to see Dickerson, Moran, Polanco, each with a pair of hits today.
Absolutely. Going back to that start today, it was so big for that kid to come out and do what he did. They're not going to forget that. They're going to remember how good he was throughout the day. But this 3-headed monster today is going to be in the lineup pretty consistently. And then you add Josh Bell. These left-handed hitters are all guys that are able to hit the ball out of the yard, create long at-bats. They have short swings. They can do a lot of damage at any given time. Today, you see all of them get 2 hits. I mean, you think about that throughout the year. If 1 or 2 of them are hot, you got something going really special. If 3 or 4 of them get hot, it's going to be hard to slow down the Pirates because these guys can really hit.
Right, so some of the guys important that are going to be moving north with the club when they get ready to open up the season later this month, having good performances today. In all, the Pirates losing by the final score of 8-5. You heard Joe and Steve mentioning at the end of the broadcast that they will be taking on the Rays on Wednesday. That game can be seen here on AT&T Sportsnet. And our next spring break presented by UPMC coming up Friday when the Pirates are taking on the Braves. So Michael and I will be back here in studio, scheduled to be here to help break things down and take a look at some of the key positional battles as well. So the Bucks lose by the final score of 8-5. For Joe Block, Steve Blass, Robbie Inzmikowski, Michael McHenry, our entire AT&T Sportsnet crew, I'm Rob King. Thanks for watching the Pirates on AT&T Sportsnet.